Chapter 751. Kill him. Jiang Taishu seized the opportunity and slashed at Lu Ming's waist with his palm. However, Lu Ming did not dodge or evade. His spine twisted like a huge dragon, trembling slightly and colliding with Jiang Taishu's palm. Pang! With a muffled explosion, Jiang Taishu's body trembled and he was pushed back. Impossible! Jiang Taishu yelled in disbelief. His palm that could break anything slashed at Lu Ming's waist. Not only did it not cut Lu Ming in half, but he was also pushed back by Lu Ming. How could this be? How could he know the wonders of the suppressing hell art? The suppressing hell art could not only be cultivated to the hands and feet, but also to the other parts of the body. When cultivated to the highest level, every muscle in the body could explode with the enormous power of the suppressing hell art and suppress everything. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's suppressing hell art had improved again. Not only could he attack with his hands and feet, but he could also attack with his waist. Just now, it was his waist that had pushed Jiang Taishu back. What a terrifying bloodline martial skill. It should be a demigod bloodline martial skill. Dong Fenghao's eyes flickered as he spoke slowly. Demigod bloodline martial skill? How terrifying! Many people exclaimed. Normally speaking, one would need to be at least at the Sea of Souls realm to comprehend demigod-level martial arts from the bloodline. Moreover, it would be hard for normal bloodlines to comprehend demigod-level martial arts. Only those with god-level bloodlines would be able to comprehend demigod-level martial arts easily. If one wanted to bring out the power of a demigod bloodline martial skill, one would need to be at the Sea of Soul realm or above. King realm cultivators didn't have enough Zhan Yuan and couldn't bring out much power. However, it was obvious that Lu Ming had comprehended a demigod bloodline martial skill at the King realm. Kill! Lu Ming's left hand exploded with a terrifying devouring power that enveloped the Jiang family members. His right hand was like the suppressing hell steel that pressed down. Enveloped by the devouring power, the Jiang family members felt their bloodline power become unstable. Their essence blood was faintly pulsing, and their battle strength weakened by a bit. Pang! Pang! Lu Ming struck out with a palm and a kick. 2 Jiang family experts were killed. In just a few breaths of time, 6 Jiang clan experts were killed by Lu Ming. He was incomparably ferocious. How can he be so strong? How can he be so strong? Jiang Taishu's eyes widened, as if he couldn't accept this. Jiang Taishu has lost his will to fight. He is doomed. Someone sighed. Run! Run! This man is a monster. Run! Jiang Taishu suddenly shouted. His confidence collapsed. He turned around and ran towards the exit. The exit was like a door. Once someone ran in, they would be teleported out. You can't run away. Lu Ming took a step forward. His body was like a flowing light. He caught up with Jiang Taishu in a few moves and struck a palm at him. Bang! Jiang Taishu was sent flying, coughing up blood. His eyes were filled with terror. Save me, save me! Wang Jue and Aizhan, save me! Jiang Taishu shouted. At this moment, he no longer had the arrogance and ambition he had before the start of the Heavenly King List battle. He was like a pitiful rat crossing the street, a pitiful worm. Now, he didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to live. But at this moment, how could Wang Jue and Aizhan save him? Their own hearts were in a perilous situation, and they were extremely shocked. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this moment, several figures flew over and stopped in the distance. Xueqi, save me. Let's work together and kill this man. Did you see how much monument chi he has? With him around, you won't be able to get first place. Jiang Taishu shouted crazily. The people who came later were the experts of the Heavenly Corpse sect. The leader was a young man covered in a black robe. His eyes were ghastly. Xueqi glanced around and was a little shocked. But when he saw the monument chi of the Heavenly King monument above Lu Ming's head, his eyes flashed with killing intent. Lu Ming's monument chi was much more than his. Not only Lu Ming, but also Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin had more monument chi. Xueqi was also one of the 10 Heavenly Kings in the previous Heavenly King list. He was ranked 9th. He also wanted to get first place. Xueqi, hurry up and do something. If this man rises, it will be bad for your Heavenly Corpse sect. Jiang Taishu shouted. Shameless. Many people in the outside world despised him. Jiang Taishu was too shameless. He actually wanted to work together with Xueqi to kill Lu Ming. The reason was that Lu Ming's rise was bad for the Heavenly Corpse sect. Jiang Taishu was from the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, and Lu Ming was also from the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. This made many people from the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace furious. The Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect were arch-enemies. Dong Feng Hao and the others shook their heads. Jiang Taishu's words would definitely be reported back to the Jiang family. Jiang Taishu also knew that if these words were to spread, he would be despised and despised. But there was no other way. What was more important than his life now? Bam! He was hit by Lu Ming's palm again. His arm, which was harder than a spiritual weapon, was directly shattered. Xueqi, do something! Jiang Taishu shouted. Xueqi's eyes flashed, and he was about to step out. Xueqi, I advise you not to do anything. Even I am not confident of defeating this man. Suddenly, a figure appeared beside Xueqi, and a hoarse voice was heard. It was the Corpse King. Even you are not confident of defeating him? Xueqi's eyes were filled with horror. Yes. Don't you see how miserable Jiang Taishu is? If you do anything you might die here. It's better for us to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. The Corpse King said hoarsely. Xueqi let out a long breath and took a few steps back. He did not make a move. Ah! Jiang Taishu shouted in despair. Jiang Taishu, no one can save you today. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Lu Ming, spare me. I am the Jiang family's genius. Killing me will not do you any good. Spare me. Jiang Taishu finally started to beg for mercy. Sparing you will not do me any good. Kill. A terrifying devouring power enveloped Jiang Taishu as Xueqi's palm slashed down. Pang! Half of Jiang Taishu's body exploded, and only half of his life was left. His eyes were filled with despair and begging. Lu Ming did not move. He stepped out, and Jiang Taishu was torn apart. Jiang Taishu, who was ranked 6th in the previous Heavenly King ranking, had been killed by Lu Ming. Devouring power erupted, and Jiang Taishu's essence blood was devoured. Devouring the essence blood of a peak-tier king wasn't much help to Lu Ming, but it was better than nothing. Retreat, retreat, let's retreat. At this moment, Wang Ju, Luan Zhan, and the others no longer had the will to fight. They frantically retreated, flying toward the exit. Jiang Taishu was dead, and the remaining members of the Jiang family had escaped. Even if they stayed, their fates would be miserable. Wang Ju took the lead, breaking through Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon force field and flying toward the exit. The other members of the Wang family followed. Lu Ming swept his gaze around, and his body turned into a streak of light as he charged toward the Wang family. Boom! Before he arrived, a fist shot out, stopping one of the members of the Wang family. Chapter 752. Lu Ming, what are you doing? Wang Mie shouted, his face pale. What am I doing? Didn't you and Wang Mang work together to knock me down the abyss when I challenged the Heavenly King's steel? I'm a vengeful person. Lu Ming sneered, revealing his killing intent. The other members of the Wang family couldn't care less about Wang Mie. They all rushed toward the exit. No, I was confused. Please let me go. Wang Mie's face was pale, and he almost wet himself. Lu Ming was simply a demon. He didn't even let Jiang Taishu off. He wasn't afraid of the Jiang family, so why would he be afraid of the Wang family? Therefore, he didn't dare to mention the Wang family and could only beg for mercy. It's too late. Lu Ming stepped forward and struck out with his palm. Arg, I'll fight it out with you. Seeing that begging was useless, Wang Mie could only fight with his life on the line. However, facing Lu Ming, who was at his strongest, his fate was sealed. With one strike, Wang Mie was torn into pieces. The interspatial ring and essence blood all belonged to Lu Ming. Of course, there was also the steel qi. At this moment, the Luan family, Wang Ju, and the others had already rushed through the door and disappeared. This Lu Ming is quite bold. He doesn't give my Wang family any face. In the outside world, Wang Yan licked his lips with a trace of killing intent in his eyes. Jiang Taichung's face was also ugly. In his opinion, no matter how weak Jiang Taishu was, he was still a genius of the Jiang family. Now that Lu Ming had killed Jiang Taishu in front of everyone, he didn't give the Jiang family any face. In the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, how many people dared to not give face to the ancient families? This made them feel ashamed as well. In their position, they didn't care about Jiang Taishu or Wang Mie's life or death. However, to disregard the ancient families was a great crime. This Lu Ming said in front of everyone that the Wang family is nothing. If he is an ancient aristocratic family by himself, then... An old man from the Wang family arrived beside Wang Yan. He alone is an ancient family? He's just a king. No matter how strong he is, what's the use? In the face of an even stronger opponent, isn't he still able to suppress them with a single hand? Anger flashed across Wang Yan's eyes. Indeed, he doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Jiang Taichong also spoke. Lu Ming naturally did not know that 2 top 100 geniuses from the list of top 1,000 talents had appeared outside, nor did he know that he had offended them. However, even if he knew, he wouldn't care. He looked in the direction of the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect. He didn't have a good impression of the Heavenly Corpse sect. If he had the chance, he wouldn't mind killing a few geniuses of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Dong. The Corpse King stepped out, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Corpse chi emanated from his body, flowing like liquid. A ferocious glint flashed in his eyes, and a strong fighting spirit emanated from him. Lu Ming, you're very strong. If we really fight, then I'm not confident in my ability to defeat you. However, it's only the Heavenly King rankings now, and both of us are at the King realm. So, it can only be considered as a small matter before the Battle of Karmic Luck. How about we meet in the Battle of Karmic Luck? The Corpse King's hoarse voice rang out. Battle of Providence? Good. I hope you won't disappoint me when the time comes. Lu Ming said, and the fighting spirit in his eyes bloomed. Just like Kong Jin, the Corpse King also gave him a sense of danger. He was definitely a terrifying opponent, and not someone like Jiang Taishu could compare to. That's what I wanted to say. Don't die before the Battle of Karmic Luck. There aren't many good opponents. After the Corpse King finished speaking, he glanced at Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin. His eyes were also filled with fighting spirit, and then he strode towards the exit. As the Corpse King stepped in, the others also stepped in and disappeared into the portal. After a while, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the other 2 also stepped into the portal. In the next moment, they appeared outside the Heavenly King's stele, at the edge of the abyss. Lu Ming, look, names have appeared on the Heavenly King's stele. Xian Yanqing said to Lu Ming. Lu Ming looked back, and sure enough, on the Heavenly King's stele, golden names appeared one after another. They were the rankings of the Heavenly King's stele. The first place was written with 2 big words. Lu Ming. Lu Ming, first place. Without a doubt, Lu Ming had obtained the most steel chi. He had killed many experts from the Jiang and Wang families, and even killed Jiang Taishu. He had obtained all of their steel chi. His steel chi had far surpassed the others. Second place, Xian Yanqing. This was not surprising. Previously, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing had joined hands to kill many experts from the Jiang and Wang families. Xian Yanqing had also obtained a lot of steel chi. Third place, Corpse King. Fourth place, Kong Jin. Fifth place, Dong Feng Yu. Sixth place, Gu Yi. Seventh place, Wang Ju. A series of rankings appeared on the Corpse King's stele. Kenfei Ryu had also appeared on the rankings, entering the top 108. On the other side of the abyss, more than 100,000 people were looking over with various emotions in their eyes. There was envy, jealousy, anger, and so on. Let's go over. Lu Ming appeared, and the 4 of them flew over the abyss. The Heavenly King's stele was still floating above their heads. This kind of Heavenly King stele phantom could help them reach the top of the first Heavenly King stele without being pressured or attacked. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, the crowd opened up a path for them. Lu Ming and the other 3 had become stronger. With just the 4 of them, they were able to defeat the Jiang, Wang, and Luan families' joint attack of almost 80 experts. It was truly unbelievable. Many people looked at them with awe in their eyes. Although they were all peak kings, Lu Ming and the others were much stronger than the others. Boom! Boom! Right at this moment, 2 boundless pressures suddenly pressed down on Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, and Kenfei Ryu's expressions changed as they unleashed their power to resist. Even so, the 4 of them were still forced back. Kenfei Ryu even coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Pang! Lu Ming circulated the true dragon combat art in his body. He took a heavy step and steadied himself, looking up. In the sky, two youths were flying over. One of them was covered in purple flames like a purple sun, emitting a terrifying temperature. The other one was like a peerless divine weapon, showing off its sharpness. The Zhang and Wang families. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. The auras from the two were easy to distinguish. Are Jiang Taichong and Wang Yan going to attack Lu Ming and the others? They are geniuses ranked in the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents. Their cultivation has long reached an extremely high level. Lu Ming and the others are only in the King Realm. It doesn't make sense for them to attack King Realm experts, right? It's hard to say. After all, Lu Ming killed Jiang Taishu and many experts from the two families. Whispers could be heard from all around. Lu Ming, how dare you kill the geniuses of the Jiang family? Do you know your crime? Jiang Taichong's eyes shot out two rays of sharp light like two divine swords. In the Heavenly King tablet, life and death are predestined. It's all about killing each other and seizing the tablet aura. If we can't kill the ancient families, is there still a need to hold the Heavenly King ranking battles in the future? Chapter 753. Jiang Taichong frowned his eyebrows after hearing Lu Ming's rebuttal. Lu Ming, you're right. The Heavenly King monument does not forbid killing. Their deaths are due to their incompetence. However, let me ask you, have you ever said that one person is equivalent to an ancient family? Wang Yan stood in midair as purple flames flickered around his body. A terrifying temperature was emitted from his body. The people nearby backed away as they could not stand the terrifying temperature. Yes. Lu Ming's reply was simple and clear. Ha ha ha, ridiculous, this is ridiculous. Wang Yan burst out laughing as his eyes glistened like two tiny suns. How foolish and ignorant. Do you know what an ancient family represents? You dare to say that one person is comparable to an ancient family? How shameless. That's right. You think you have some strength, so you're arrogant. However, you're just an ignorant fool. No matter how strong your strength is, you're only a martial emperor. A martial emperor can only do menial tasks in an ancient family. There are many ancient families that can kill you. Any one of them could suppress you with a single palm strike. Jiang Taichong let out a hollow laugh. Just because I can't do it now doesn't mean I can't do it in the future. Lu Ming's eyes were firm and full of confidence. The future? You're just a martial emperor realm cultivator. Let me tell you, the Heavenly King ranking is just a child's game in the eyes of the true geniuses of the Eastern Barren Territory. The real competition between the geniuses of the Eastern Barren Territory lies above the martial emperor realm. The battle of luck in a year's time will be the real battlefield for the geniuses. You guys are not even qualified to take part in it. Wang Yan's voice was filled with disdain. Wang Yan, why waste your time talking nonsense with them? I'll let them know how tiny they are before an ancient family. They're not even comparable to ants. Jiang Taichong took a step forward as a terrifying aura burst out from his body. It was as if countless swords were gathered on his body, emitting sharp glows. Each of the glows was like a sword that pressed down on Lu Ming and the others. At this moment, Lu Ming and the others' bodies violently shook. Their protective true essence was completely useless, and they were directly pierced through by that sharp light. It was as if their bodies were about to be pierced through. Strong, too strong. Jiang Taichong was definitely not an ordinary Sea of Soul Realm warrior. He had already walked very far in the Sea of Soul Realm. No matter how strong Lu Ming and his crew were, they were only martial emperors. The difference between them was too great, to the point that they had no chance of resisting. No matter how strong a martial king is, in front of absolute strength, he is still an ant. Jiang Taichong looked down at the crowd with a cold and indifferent voice. I'll kill you in the Battle of Providence. Lu Ming let out a long roar. The four-colored concept revolved around him as he did his best to resist. You want to kill me in the Battle of Providence? Jiang Taichong sneered, and the aura on his body became even stronger. Wang. At this moment, the Heavenly Monarch tablet above Lu Ming's head suddenly trembled and emitted a resplendent light. At the same time, the Heavenly Monarch tablet above Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, and Kenfei Ryu vibrated and emitted a resplendent light. The light from the four of them gathered together. At this moment, the Heavenly Monarch tablet behind the four of them emitted a brilliant light as well. A giant Heavenly Monarch tablet suddenly appeared above Lu Ming and his crew. Bang! The Heavenly Monarch tablet's illusionary figure shuddered and dispersed Jiang Taichong's aura. Jiang Taishu took a few steps backward and stared at the giant Heavenly Monarch tablet with an unpleasant expression. Their suppression had caused the Heavenly Monarch tablet to react. A terrifying aura burst out from Wang Yan's body and pressed forward. However, he immediately followed Jiang Taichung's footsteps and was knocked backward. Protection of the Heavenly Monarch tablet. Humph! Jiang Taichung harumphed coldly. Consider yourself lucky this time. Lu Ming, if you are really confident, head to the Nine Dragons City in the Tianwu domain. At that time, you will understand the true strength of the ancient families. You will also understand what it means to be a true genius, and how insignificant you are. Wang Yan glanced at Lu Ming and his crew and said flatly. Then, he turned around and disappeared with a step. Jiang Taichung also turned around and left. This time, they did not really intend to attack Lu Ming and his crew. Just as the crowd had guessed, with their cultivation, they could suppress Lu Ming and his crew with one hand. The difference between them was too great. If they attacked, they would end up with a reputation of bullying the weak. They only wanted to intimidate Lu Ming and the rest. They wanted to let them and everyone else understand the dignity and power of the ancient aristocratic families. At the same time, they wanted to prove their strength. No matter how strong a martial king was, he was still a martial king. They were also below the age of 30. But they had already gone far beyond the martial king level. Now that they had achieved their goal, they naturally left. Humph, what's so great about being in the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents? Sooner or later, I will surpass them one by one. Kong Jin snorted unhappily and took out a lamb leg to chew on. I wonder how many roasted lamb legs and barbecued meat this guy has stored. Lu Ming did not say anything, but his eyes were filled with a strong battle intent. Before he had the strength, it was useless to say anything. However, as Kong Jin had said, he would surpass them one day. Furthermore, Lu Ming believed that this day would not be too far away. He was comparable to an ancient family. This was Lu Ming's initial goal. Furthermore, he had to achieve it. If he could not even achieve this, how could he compete with the top martial emperor? Let's go, we will cultivate on the steps of the Heavenly King's steel. Lu Ming said and took a big step forward. The four of them headed toward the first Heavenly King's steel. When they arrived at the bottom of the Heavenly King's steel, they realized that there were already some people there. The corpse emperor was sitting cross-legged on the 26th step. Wang Ju, Xueqi, and the others were sitting cross-legged on the 25th step. There were a total of 27 steps on the Heavenly King's steel. The 21st to 27th steps were dark red in color. It was the reward for the top 108 in the Heavenly King ranking. Only they could go up. The 27th step was the highest, and only the first place could go up. The 26th step could go up. The 2nd to 4th place could go up. The 25th step could go up. The 5th to 10th place could go up. The 24th step could go up. The 11th to 20th place could go up. The 21st step could go up. The 38th place could go up. The 108 spots were distributed among the 7 steps. Lu Ming soared into the air and flew toward the highest step. Above his head, the illusory image of the Heavenly King's steel shone down rays of light, enveloping Lu Ming. Without the protection of the illusory image of the Heavenly King's steel, climbing the dark red steps would only lead to death. Bang! Lu Ming landed on the highest step. In that instant, Lu Ming felt all sorts of extremely intense states. He even felt that there were experts fighting and cultivating. There were imprints left behind by supreme experts on the Heavenly King's steel. No one knew when the Heavenly King's steel was left behind. It had stood here for countless years. In history, many martial emperors wanted to move it away and take it for themselves. However, no one could do it. Therefore, they stayed here for a long time. Lu Ming immediately sat down cross-legged, capturing the various states and starting to comprehend them. The traces of the various states here were much stronger than the steps below. Chapter 754. Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, and the others also flew up the stairs and started cultivating. Soon after, the top 108 people all gathered and sat cross-legged on the top 7 steps. They had half a month to cultivate. After half a month, the Sky King steel would return to normal and lose its mysterious effect. It would only open again after 3 years. Time flew by quickly. After 3 days, Lu Ming's fire concept broke through and reached the 2nd level of entry. Then, he switched to the earth concept. The earth concept was much more difficult to cultivate. Lu Ming spent 10 days to break through and reach the second level. Since then, Lu Ming's 4 concepts of heaven and earth had all broken through to the second level. The conditions to enter the Sea of Soul realm had been met. Lu Ming could enter the Sea of Soul realm at any time. At this time, 13 days had passed. There were still 2 days left. In these 2 days, Lu Ming planned to continue comprehending the earth concept. Cultivating the earth concept was the most difficult. Lu Ming must grasp this opportunity. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. The earth concept had also made some progress, reaching the middle stage of the second level entry. Soon, half a month's time would be up. Bas. At this time, a message rushed into Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming was stunned and carefully comprehended it. Then he was overjoyed. The message that rushed into Lu Ming's mind was actually a secret technique. The name of the secret technique was Super Spiritual Sea. Yes, the name was Super Spiritual Sea. According to the message, when a Sea of Soul realm martial artist cultivated the secret technique, the area of their spiritual sea would be twice as large as others. The area of a Sea of Soul realm martial artist's spiritual sea would be twice as large as others. This meant that the amount of Zhen Yuan they could store would be twice as large as others. Naturally, their battle strength would be stronger. Previously, it was said that the first place of the Sky King Steel would receive a special reward from the Sky King Steel. Some were martial skills, some were cultivation methods, and some were secret techniques. What Lu Ming received was a secret technique. This was also the reason why Jiang Taishu and the others were determined to fight for the first place. With a secret art like Super Spirit Ocean, he would have an innate advantage among the Sea of Souls realm warriors. Haha, great! My Zhen Yuan is already much stronger than ordinary people. With the Super Spirit Sea secret technique, my innate advantage will be even stronger. Lu Ming laughed in his heart. Although the 6 great ancient aristocratic families also practiced God-grade cultivation techniques, each type of God-grade cultivation technique specialized in a different direction. For example, the Wang family's heaven-burning raging flames art, after cultivating it, one's true essence would be like a heavenly fire that could burn everything. However, the thickness of the true essence was definitely not as thick as the true battle dragon art. The true dragon battle art leaned towards having abundant true essence. The combination of the Super Spirit Sea and the true battle dragon art complemented each other perfectly. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt that the heavenly king steel above his head had dissipated. As for him, he could no longer feel any pressure or intent. The time was up, and the heavenly king steel returned to normal. At this moment, everyone on the stairs opened their eyes. Go! Wang Ju and the others glanced at Lu Ming and hurriedly flew away, as if they were afraid that Lu Ming would attack them. The Corpse King and the others from the Heavenly Corpse sect also got up and left. Lu Ming, how's the harvest? Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded and then asked, You've broken through your intent realm? I've broken through. Next, I'll break through to the Spirit Sea realm. Xian Yanqing said. Haha, I'm also going to break through to the Spirit Sea realm. Kong Jin grinned. I also plan to break through to the Spirit Sea realm. Kenfei Ryu also said. This time, many people had made great progress. After the Heavenly King ranking battle, many people would probably choose to break through to the Spirit Sea realm, such as Wang Ju and the Corpse King. After all, the War of Providence was getting closer and closer. There was only 1 year and 3 months left. The War of Providence was the key. All right, then let's find a place to break through. Lu Ming smiled. Now that he had accumulated enough supreme spiritual crystals, he had to break through to the Spirit Sea realm. Only by breaking through to the Spirit Sea realm could he compete with the top geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. The 4 of them rose into the air and flew into the distance. They did not fly to the city, but to the wilderness. Brother-in-law, what good stuff did you get from the top step? Kong Jin looked at Lu Ming sneakily. Fatty, you're not allowed to call him brother-in-law, and you're not allowed to call me sister. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Xian Yanqing gritted his teeth and looked at Kong Jin gloomily. Kong Jin shuddered and said, You don't have to be like this. I'm just calling you that to sound friendly. If I don't call you that, how can I call you that? It's up to you. Call me by my name. Xian Yanqing said through gritted teeth. All right. Kong Jin pulled a long face, then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, you haven't told me what good stuff you got. It's indeed good stuff. Lu Ming smiled and did not hide it. It's a secret skill. After the Spirit Sea realm, the area of the Spirit Sea can be doubled. What? Kong Jin, Xian Yanqing, and Kenfei Ryu were all shocked. Haha, Lu Ming, you see, you and I are family. Can you share it? Kong Jin looked at Lu Ming sneakily. Sure, buy it with spiritual crystals. Lu Ming said. Buy it with spiritual crystals? I don't have that many spiritual crystals. How about this? I'll give you primordial stones. Kong Jin thought for a moment, then a bag appeared in his hand. He threw it to Lu Ming and said, There are 100 primordial stones in it. See if it's enough? Primordial stones? You have so many primordial stones? Except for Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming and Kenfei Ryu all widened their eyes in shock. Primordial stones were similar to spiritual crystals. They contained a huge amount of energy. However, the energy in primordial stones was not the spiritual qi of heaven and earth in spiritual crystals, but primordial qi of heaven and earth. Primordial qi was purer than spiritual qi by many times. The energy consumed by warriors above the Spirit Sea realm was too terrifying. If they used spiritual crystals, it would be tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. The higher the realm, the more terrifying it would be. However, it was different with primordial stones. Primordial qi was extremely high level and could be quickly converted into genuine qi. A low-grade primordial stone was worth millions of spiritual crystals. The fatty gave Lu Ming 100 pieces of inferior-grade raw stones. They were worth hundreds of millions of supreme-grade spirit crystals. It should be known that ordinary Spirit Sea realm warriors did not have primordial stones. Normally, only warriors above the Spirit Sea realm would have primordial stones and use them to cultivate. Okay, that's enough. Lu Ming put away the primordial stones and took out 3 jade plates. He engraved the information of the Super Spirit Sea into the jade plates and then threw one of them to Kong Jin. This time, they had experienced a life-and-death battle. Lu Ming had already regarded Kong Jin as a friend. Although the Super Spirit Sea secret technique was precious, he would not be stingy. Chapter 755. Lu Ming, I don't have any primordial stones. Kenfei Ryu caught the jade pendant in a daze. Brother Jian, you don't need any primordial stones. Take it and cultivate. Lu Ming smiled. No, it's too precious. Kenfei Ryu still refused despite his desire. Brother Jian, you're so polite. Do you not see me as a friend? Lu Ming asked. How could that be? It's my honor to be friends with Brother Lu. Kenfei Ryu said. Then it's settled. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, thank you. Kenfei Ryu held the jade pendant tightly and looked touched. Even if they were friends, not many people would share such a precious secret technique with him. As for Xian Yanqing, he kept the jade pendant without saying a word. Hey, why am I the only one who wants to buy the primordial stones? They don't want it. It's not fair. Kong Jin complained. Because you're filthy rich. Lu Ming smiled. How am I filthy rich? It's not fair, it's not fair. Kong Jin continued to complain. Soon, they flew hundreds of thousands of miles and arrived at a remote and barren mountain. The 4 of them landed. Lu Ming waved his hands and started to carve an inscription formation on the ground. Breaking through to the spiritual sea was no small matter and could not be disturbed. Lu Ming started to carve an inscription formation in this area. If there were any abnormalities, he would be able to sense it. After setting up the formation, everyone chose a place to cultivate in seclusion. Lu Ming, with your cultivation method, you need a lot of energy to break through to the spiritual sea. Take these primordial stones. Xian Yanqing walked to Lu Ming and threw a bag to Lu Ming. He then turned and disappeared into a mountain. 200 primordial stones. Lu Ming opened it and found that there were 200 low-grade ores inside. Lu Ming smiled and kept the origin stone. His figure flashed and he rushed into a mountain. In the next moment, he appeared in the Temple of Paragon. Dandan was lying in a corner, nibbling on a spirit herb in a very leisurely manner. Kid, are you ready to break through to the Sea of Souls realm? Dandan glanced at Lu Ming and said. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Your true yuan is extremely abundant, so the danger of breaking through the spiritual sea realm will increase greatly. Luckily, you've cultivated 4 wills, so it should be fine. Let me protect you. Dandan walked over. Lu Ming nodded and sat down cross-legged. With a wave of his hand, piles of supreme-grade spiritual crystals appeared around him. During this period of time, Lu Ming had killed many enemies and gathered all their spirit crystals together. There were more than 500 million spirit crystals. Lu Ming estimated that 500 million should be enough. Bang! Bang! His true yuan vibrated and the piles of spiritual crystals exploded. The 9 dragons' bloodline devoured the spiritual crystals and started to refine them. Lu Ming used the true dragon fighting art to convert the energy into true yuan. Rumble! The cyclone spun wildly and a large amount of true yuan gathered in it. Lu Ming started to compress the cyclone. As time passed, Lu Ming's cyclone became smaller and smaller. However, his true yuan also became more condensed and reached a terrifying level. To open the spiritual sea, one had to compress the cyclone to the maximum and then explode it. Yes, an explosion. At the moment of the explosion, a terrifying amount of energy would be generated and a spiritual sea would be opened in the Dantian. The spiritual sea was an ocean of true yuan. The amount of true yuan it could contain was much more than the cyclone. There was a limit to the amount of true yuan a cyclone could contain. Without opening the spiritual sea, one would never be able to break through. However, this process was extremely dangerous. If one was not careful, one's dantian would explode and even one's entire body would explode. Therefore, one had to use intent to protect the body. One had to use intent to block the energy of the explosion and gather it in a certain area to open the spiritual sea. Lu Ming's true yuan was too condensed, so the power of the explosion would naturally be stronger. If one only used one intent to protect the body, it would not be able to block it and would be very dangerous. Fortunately, Lu Ming had 4 intents. Compress. Continue compressing. Half a day later, the cyclone had been compressed to the maximum and formed a point. A shocking amount of energy spread out from it. Success or failure depends on this. Explode. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. With a thought, the cyclone that had been compressed to the maximum exploded. Boom! Boom! It was like the beginning of the world. A shocking amount of energy burst out and destroyed everything. Block it! The 4 intents of heaven and earth gathered together and formed layers of defense in the Dantian. Rumble! The berserk energy wreaked havoc. Lu Ming's Dantian was torn apart and formed a crack. This crack was rapidly expanding. Slowly, the crack formed a pool of water. The pool of water grew larger and larger, and its surface area grew larger and larger. The spiritual sea was opening. This process only happened in an instant. In the next moment, the berserk energy calmed down and a pool of about 10 meters in diameter was formed. This pool was the spiritual sea. When one first broke through, the area would not be very big. As one's cultivation increased, it would become bigger and bigger. When an ordinary person broke through to the spiritual sea, their spiritual sea would not be as big as Lu Ming's. Lu Ming cultivated the true dragon battle art and was able to open such a large spiritual sea at the beginning. Lu Ming had successfully opened the spiritual sea without any danger. This was normal. After all, Lu Ming had comprehended 4 intents and successfully merged them. No matter how strong his true yuan was, the defense of 4 intents was enough. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. He had finally broken through to the spiritual sea realm. However, there was only a thin layer of true yuan in the spiritual sea. Only when the spiritual sea was filled with true yuan could one be considered to have truly stepped into the spiritual sea realm. Explode, explode! Lu Ming continued to explode spiritual crystals, devouring and refining the spiritual qi and turning it into true yuan. As the spiritual crystals continued to be refined, the true yuan in the spiritual sea increased and slowly filled up. 3 days later, everyone's spiritual crystals were used up, but the spiritual sea was not full yet. The amount of energy I need to cultivate is still so terrifying. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. More than 500 million spiritual crystals were still not enough. Immediately, Lu Ming took out a bag and took out 2 primordial stones. He crushed them and primordial qi spread out. The 9 dragons' bloodline opened its mouth and swallowed the origin qi. Origin qi was of a much higher grade than spiritual qi. The spiritual sea was quickly filled with true yuan. In the end, Lu Ming refined another 50 origin stones before his spiritual sea was completely filled. What rich true yuan! What rich true yuan! Lu Ming circulated the true yuan of the battle dragon art. Feeling the rich true yuan, he was in a good mood. The true yuan of the spiritual sea realm was much richer than that of the king realm. Now, his battle strength had increased by a lot. With a thought, Lu Ming left the Temple of Paragon and sensed his surroundings. Xian Yanqing and the others should still be breaking through. Lu Ming had the 9 dragons bloodline, so his speed was faster. I'll cultivate while waiting for them. I'll cultivate the super spiritual sea first. Chapter 756. A day later, Lu Ming successfully mastered the secret skill, Super Spirit Sea. Lu Ming's Spirit Sea had doubled in size from its original foundation and could accommodate more quintessential essence. Of course, when Lu Ming filled up his spiritual ocean, he used another 200 origin stones. If Kong Jin hadn't given him 100 origin stones and Xian Yanqing hadn't given him 200 origin stones, he wouldn't have had enough spiritual crystals. Boom! Boom! On the highest level of the Temple of Paragon, Lu Ming cultivated the suppressing hell heaven art. His arms, legs, shoulders, and waist all seemed to contain a suppressing hell monument. Every move he made had unimaginable power. After more than 100 moves, Lu Ming finally stopped. After reaching the spiritual ocean realm, I can finally use the suppressing hell heaven art as I wish. Lu Ming broke into a smile. The suppressing hell heaven art was a demigod bloodline martial skill. It consumed a lot of true yuan. When Lu Ming was a peak-tier king, he didn't dare to use it casually. After breaking through to the spiritual sea realm, there was no need to worry about this. The vital essence in his spirit sea was extremely rich and it was completely sufficient. In addition, his 4 intents had all reached the 2nd level. Lu Ming did not know what level his combat ability had reached now. After that, Lu Ming comprehended the 4 intents and cultivated martial skills every day. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. Lu Ming guessed that Xian Yanqing and the others were almost done cultivating, so he left the Temple of Paragon. As soon as he left the Temple of Paragon, Lu Ming felt that something was wrong. He only sensed 2 auras. Originally, there were 3 auras. Shwa! Shwa! As if sensing Lu Ming's aura, there was a sound of something breaking through the air. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin appeared in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Kenfei Ryu seems to have left. Xian Yanqing said. Brother Jian left? Lu Ming was stunned. He could sense the inscription formation that he had inscribed. However, he wouldn't be able to sense anyone coming in from the outside. This is the message he sent me. Xian Yanqing handed a sound-transmitting jade talisman to Lu Ming. There was only one sentence inside. Miss Xie, Brother Lu, I have something to do and need to leave first. Don't miss me. Lu Ming guessed that it was because he was in the Temple of Paragon and Kenfei Ryu's news couldn't reach him. So he didn't receive any news from Kenfei Ryu. Why did Brother Jian leave in such a hurry? What happened? Why did you leave without saying goodbye? Lu Ming frowned. Based on his understanding of Kenfei Ryu, he would not leave without saying goodbye. Something must have happened. I'm guessing that it might be because of his junior sister. Xian Yanqing said. That's possible. Could it be that Brother Jian went to 9 Dragon City? Lu Ming frowned. This was the only possibility. Let's go. Let's go back to the city and see if we can get some news. Lu Ming said. Then, the 3 of them soared into the sky and flew towards the city near the king's monument. Soon they arrived at a city. Now, most of the peak kings had left. The area near the king's monument had returned to its previous desolation. There weren't many people on the streets. The 3 of them found a restaurant to see if they could get some news. Kong Jin ordered 50 roasted lamb legs in the restaurant. He was using his words to store them. I heard that all the geniuses and sky prides have gone to 9 Dragon City in the Qianwu domain. That's normal. There's still more than a year before the Battle of Providence. Every time, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace places great importance on it. I heard that all the cultivation sacred grounds in 9 Dragon City have been opened. All the cultivation sacred grounds that used to be closed are now open to the Sky Prides. Those Sky Prides will naturally flock there. Not only the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, but also the Sky Demon Valley and Sky Corp sect. Every time the Battle of Providence draws near, all kinds of sacred grounds will be open to increase the strength of those Sky Prides as soon as possible. After all, the Battle of Providence will affect a force's fortune for the next 20 years. It's no small matter. Even the martial emperor places great importance on it. That's right. Those sky prides will naturally become stronger if they cultivate in such sacred grounds. All the sky prides who are interested in the Battle of Providence will not miss it and will go there. Otherwise, they will be surpassed by others. Now, Nine Dragons City is a gathering place. Some people in the restaurant were discussing the recent news. Lu Ming, they're right. Before every Battle of Providence, all the forces will do everything they can to nurture the geniuses of their respective forces and open up all kinds of sacred grounds. This is also an opportunity for us to improve our strength quickly and compete with the geniuses at the top of the list of top 1,000 talents. Xian Yanqing said, "Let's go to Nine Dragons City. I happen to know some friends there." Kong Jin said as he gnawed on a lamb leg. Lu Ming pondered quickly in his heart. Nine Dragons City in the Tianwu domain was the headquarters of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Martial Emperor De was there. If they went to Nine Dragons City, they would be very close to Martial Emperor De. He was afraid that Martial Emperor De would sense the Nine Dragons bloodline. Senior Zhuoyang has already sealed it. He said that it won't be sensed for 10 years, so it should be fine. At that time, I will try not to use the Nine Dragons bloodline. It should be fine. If I'm always timid and don't seize the opportunity, how can I improve my cultivation quickly? With this thought, Lu Ming decided to go. All right, let's set off in a while. Lu Ming said. After a while, the three finished eating and flew west. They wanted to head to a nearby large region and take the trans-region transportation formation. Nine Dragons City in the Tianwu domain was known as the largest city in the eastern wasteland. The reason why Nine Dragons City was called Nine Dragons City was because it was mainly formed by 9 huge dragon veins. Each dragon vein was actually a mountain range. They were vast and boundless, spanning tens of thousands of kilometers, winding around the vast land. Among them, there were 6 dragon veins in different directions. In the middle of these 6 dragon veins were the other 3 dragon veins. The 3 dragon veins gathered together, forming the core of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Around the 9 dragon veins were city walls. However, these city walls were not ordinary city walls. They were all mountain peaks. Countless mountain peaks rose from the ground, reaching more than 10,000 meters tall. They gathered together and formed a circle, surrounding the 9 dragon veins in the middle, forming Nine Dragons City. Nine Dragons City's area was unbelievably large. The city's area was about the same as the Tianxian domain. That's right, a city was equivalent to a large region. This was simply unbelievable. From this, one could see how majestic the city walls surrounding Nine Dragons City were. They were made of many mountain peaks. It was simply unbelievable. Clearly, this was not the creation of the world. It was said that it was built by a supreme expert from the ancient era, forcefully uprooting countless mountain peaks from the ground and surrounding the vast 9 dragon veins. How vast of a project was this? Lu Ming stood outside the city walls of Nine Dragons City, looking at all this in shock. He found it hard to believe that there was such a shocking building in the world. Was this something that could be done by humans? Even martial emperors could not do this, right? Chapter 757. He looked over and saw mountains that were tens of thousands of meters high. All the mountains were side by side, and he couldn't see the end of them. There was a huge city gate at the foot of a few of the mountains. That was one of the city gates to enter Nine Dragons City. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin were quite calm. Haha, I'm back. Let's go in. Kong Jin carried his axe and held a lamb leg in one hand. He gnawed on it as he walked forward. Fatty, why are you carrying your axe all day long? Aren't you tired? Don't you have a storage ring? Lu Ming asked as they walked. Since he saw Kong Jin, he had seen him carrying his huge axe every day. I'm carrying this axe to lose weight. Kong Jin answered. Kong Jin's answer made Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing stumble and almost fall. To lose weight? Then why don't you stop eating? Eat. Xian Yanqing looked at him with disdain. How can I carry the axe if I don't eat? How can I lose weight if I can't carry the axe? You don't know how exhausting it is to carry the axe every day. Kong Jin said with a serious face. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were speechless. They were completely defeated. The city gate of Nine Dragons City was huge. It was at least a few hundred meters high and a few hundred meters wide. People came and went at the city gate. It was very lively. They could see all kinds of martial artists riding on demonic beasts and ferocious beasts. They rushed into Nine Dragons City. No one was guarding the city gate, and no one was checking. They could enter and leave at will. That was their confidence. As the main palace of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Nine Dragon City gathered the most powerful forces of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. More than 80% of the experts above the spiritual embryo realm were in Nine Dragon City. There were spiritual embryo realm, spiritual god realm, and even supreme being. In addition, Emperor DE was also there. No matter if it was the Heavenly Corpse sect or Sky Demon Valley, if they dared to break into Nine Dragon City and cause trouble, they would be courting death unless they were Imperial Realm experts. However, if an Emperor Dao expert really came, then it would be useless no matter how many experts there were at the city gates. The three of them walked through the city gates. What entered their eyes was a huge and wide road that led to various places. There were also endless mountain ranges. The Nine Dragon City was a world of its own. After all, its size was comparable to the Tianxian region. What a dense spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Also, the concept of heaven and earth is much clearer than other places. Lu Ming exclaimed. Lu Ming, this is only the edge. Nine Dragon City is where the 9 dragon veins converge. The closer one is to the dragon veins, the denser the heaven and earth spirit qi will be, and the clearer the heaven and earth will be. Therefore, Nine Dragon City is filled with martial king warriors, and even Sea of Soul Realm experts. Only spirit embryo warriors and above can be considered experts. Kong Jin said. Lu Ming sighed. The main reason was that the conditions were too good. The Nine Dragon City is dominated by the dragon veins. Right now, the cores of the 6 dragon veins in the 6 directions are occupied by the 6 ancient aristocratic families. With the dragon veins as the core, there are countless clans and sects of various sizes. The bigger ones belong to the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. The smaller ones are competing with each other. Every day, there are powers that are destroyed and new powers that rise. Even the 6 ancient aristocratic families are competing with each other. The upper echelons of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace wouldn't care about this. Only in this way can more experts be born. Kong Jin explained. He had stayed in Nine Dragon City before, so he had a better understanding of the city. We are now in the easternmost area of the Dragon Vein. The strongest power here is one of the 6 ancient aristocratic families, Wang clan. They occupy the core position of the Dragon Vein, and countless clans of various sizes are scattered around the Dragon Vein. Kong Jin continued. Lu Ming nodded. The three of them chose a direction and flew while chatting. After a few hours, a city appeared before them. The three of them flew in. This city was called Gathering Luxury City. Kong Jin introduced that there were more than 10 clans of various sizes scattered around Gathering Luxury City. This place had not officially entered the Eastern Dragon Vein and was only in the outer area. The closer one was to the Dragon Vein, the denser the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Only powerful clans could occupy it. Small clans could only be in the outer area. The three of them strolled around Gathering Luxury City. This city was not particularly big, but there were many experts on the streets. Lu Ming glanced around and saw that there were martial kings everywhere. Fortunately, there were not many Sea of Soul Realm cultivators. He saw a few, but they were not very strong. After all, this was only the outer area of the Dragon Vein. Ting Ting, it's me, this young master. Suddenly, Kong Jin revealed a bright smile and greeted a girl. That girl was about 23 or 24 years old. She wore a light yellow dress and had a slim figure. She was very beautiful. That girl was walking over. When she heard the voice, she looked over. Then she glared at Kong Jin and walked over. Damn fatty, are you a friend or not? You left without saying goodbye last time. Where did you go? Don't tell me you went to deceive a little girl again? The beautiful girl sized up Kong Jin and said unhappily. Haha, Ting Ting, how can that be? With a beauty like you in front of me, how can other beauties catch my eye? I left last time because I had something to do. See, I came back right after I was done. Sigh. Truly, one day apart feels like 3 years. Look, I've lost weight. As Kong Jin spoke, he patted his chest. Immediately, the layers of fat on his chest rippled like waves. It was a spectacular sight. Humph, don't try to flatter me. Your tricks are useless against me. The girl pouted and then looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Haha, Ting Ting, come, let me introduce you. Kong Jin laughed and said, This is Ruan Ting Ting, my confidant. Damn fatty, don't talk nonsense. I haven't known you for long. Ruan Tingting interrupted Kong Jin. She looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing and said, "The two of you look dignified. Are you friends of this fatty? I advise the two of you that this fatty is ignorant and incompetent. He's lazy and lustful. Don't make bad friends and be led astray by this fatty." "Hey, Tingting, how can you say that about me? We're friends, aren't we?" Kong Jin said unhappily. "Humph, who asked you to be so unreliable and leave without saying goodbye? Next time, don't say that I don't recognize you as a friend." Ruan Tingting snorted coldly. Looking at Kong Jin and Ruan Tingting bickering, Lu Ming felt rather amused and did not interrupt. "Of course. With such a beautiful friend like you, how can I leave without saying goodbye? Haha, these two are friends I met outside. They're Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Have you heard of them?" Kong Jin introduced Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. "Never heard of them." Ruan Tingting shook her head. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that the Tianji Chamber of Commerce had not updated the list of top 1,000 talents. Moreover, the Battle of Providence was approaching. Most people were focused on the top geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Not many people were paying attention to the Battle of Heavenly Talents. Chapter 758. Miss Ruan. Lu Ming nodded at Ruan Tingting and greeted her. "Tingting, it's my first time here with two friends. We don't have a place to stay. Do you think we can stay at your Wind Sword sect for a while?" Kong Jin looked at Ruan Tingting eagerly. "Isn't there an inn?" Ruan Tingting asked. "There is an inn, but it's inconvenient to cultivate. How can it be as comfortable as your place? My two friends are geniuses. Isn't it better if we can discuss martial arts?" Kong Jin looked at Ruan Tingting expectantly. Lu Ming despised him in his heart. This fatty definitely wanted to use this opportunity to get close to Ruan Tingting. "I say, fatty, Xueqi's sister." Lu Ming purposely spoke, dragging out his words. "Ah, cough cough. What Xueqi's sister? I don't know her. Tingting, what do you think of my suggestion?" Kong Jin instantly changed the topic. Ruan Tingting pondered for a moment and said, "All right then. My courtyard is quite big. It's fine with the three of you. But fatty, you're not allowed to cause trouble." Kong Jin was overjoyed and immediately swore to the heavens that he wouldn't. Lu Ming shook his head. This fatty was truly a weirdo. However, having a place to stay was better than staying at an inn. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't refuse. Immediately, Lu Ming and the other two followed Ruan Tingting out of Gathering Luxury City and flew towards the west side of the city. Over 10,000 miles away, there was a mountain range with spirit qi even denser than Gathering Luxury City. On top of it, there were numerous palaces and courtyards. This was Ruan Tingting's sect, the Wind Sword sect. The Wind Sword sect was merely a small faction in Nine Dragon City. Within the sect, there were no more than 10 spiritual sea realm martial artists. The highest cultivation was at the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Such strength was absolutely unrivaled in Tianxian region, but in Nine Dragon City, it was truly a small faction. However, according to Ruan Tingting's introduction, the Wind Sword sect was considered pretty good among the dozen or so factions around Gathering Luxury City. With Ruan Tingting leading the way, the Wind Sword sect disciples guarding the mountain didn't stop them. They entered the Wind Sword sect and arrived at Ruan Tingting's residence. There were 5 rooms in Ruan Tingting's courtyard. It was quite convenient for a few people to stay there. "Fatty, Brother Lu, Lady Xia, you guys can stay here from now on. However, don't wander around the Wind Sword sect. There are some forbidden grounds that even I don't dare to enter. If you're caught, you'll be punished," Ruan Tingting said. "Don't worry, Miss Ruan. We know this." Lu Ming smiled. After that, Lu Ming and the other two settled down. Nine Dragon City was too big, and there were too many forces. He wanted to familiarize himself with the city first. In the next 2 days, Lu Ming had a rough understanding of the forces in this area. 3 dragon veins converged in the middle of Nine Dragon City. This was where Martial Monarch De and the upper echelons of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace resided. The 6 dragon veins in the surroundings were dominated by the 6 great ancient aristocratic families. As for those cultivation sacred grounds, they were basically above the 9 dragon veins. It wasn't that easy to enter those sacred grounds to cultivate. One had to be recommended by the various branches or the forces in Nine Dragon City before they could enter. It seemed like it wasn't that easy to enter those sacred grounds to cultivate. On the third day, there was a commotion outside. Lu Ming walked out of his room. At the entrance of the courtyard, a young man swaggered in. Su Luo, this is my courtyard. What are you trying to do by barging in? Get out immediately. Ruan Tingting stood in front of the young man and shouted. Your courtyard? Don't forget that this is the Wind Sword sect. Do you know your crime for bringing outsiders in without permission? Su Luo's face was cold as he swept his gaze across Lu Ming and the others. They are my friends. It's reasonable for me to let them stay in my courtyard for a few days. What crime is there? All right, Su Luo, you barged into my courtyard without my permission. That's a crime. Get out now. Ruan Tingting said. Humph, a slut will always be a slut. You actually brought a few men to stay with you. Su Luo said coldly. Hey, where did this stray dog come from? Why are you barking here? Be careful, or I'll tear your mouth apart. Kong Jin walked over with his battle axe on his shoulder and stared at Su Luo with hostility. Fat pig, what did you say? You're courting death. Su Luo's eyes were cold as a powerful aura rose and enveloped Kong Jin. It was the aura of a peak-tier king. Boom. A powerful aura rose from Ruan Tingting's body. She was also a peak-tier king. She stepped forward and blocked Kong Jin, blocking Su Luo's aura. In a place like Nine Dragon City, it wasn't difficult to become a peak-tier king. As long as one was talented and had the support of a large amount of resources, it wasn't a problem to become a peak-tier king. Of course, most of them were ordinary peak-tier kings who couldn't make it onto the list of top 1,000 talents. Ruan Tingting, you want to fight me for a few outsiders? Su Luo's face was extremely gloomy. Get out. Ruan Tingting said coldly. Okay, fat pig, and you guys better be careful. Su Luo glanced at Kong Jin, then at Lu Ming and Xie. He snorted coldly and turned to leave, as if he was afraid of Ruan Tingting. Tingting, why are you blocking me? Let me tear that guy's mouth apart. Kong Jin looked at the door with hostility. Fatty, don't brag. You think you can beat Su Luo when you're so ignorant and incompetent? He's a peak-tier king. Be careful not to be beaten up by him. Also, Lu Ming, Miss Xie, if I'm not around in the future, don't wander around the Wind Sword sect. Su Luo is a narrow-minded person. If he sees you guys, I'm afraid he'll attack you. Ruan Tingting warned. Looking at Ruan Tingting's serious expression, Lu Ming was speechless. Were they so weak in her eyes that they couldn't even deal with Su Luo? It must be because Ruan Tingting had a bad impression of Kong Jin. Tingting, why is that guy targeting you? Kong Jin asked. He wanted to pursue me in the past, but I rejected him. Therefore, he has been targeting me ever since, said Ruan Tingting. Humph, with his looks, he's like a toad lusting after a swan's meat. Tingting, your ideal husband is at least a handsome and extraordinary hero like me. Kong Jin patted his chest with a smug look on his face. Shameless. Ruan Tingting glared at Kong Jin, then said to Lu Ming and the others, I have something to do and need to go out. You guys better not wander around the Wind Sword sect. After warning them again, Ruan Tingting jogged out. I say, Fatty, you've never revealed your cultivation in front of Miss Tingting before? Lu Ming asked curiously. No, I originally wanted to use my handsome and unruly appearance to conquer her. How about it? Do you guys think I have a chance? Kong Jin opened his small eyes and looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing with hope. Shameless. Xian Yanqing left behind a sentence and returned to his room to cultivate. You better use your cultivation to conquer her. Lu Ming patted Kong Jin's shoulder and returned to his room. Chapter 759. In the blink of an eye. Another 2 days had passed. In the room, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. Between his eyebrows, a green flame was pulsating. Break for me. Lu Ming muttered as he activated the underworld god observation. The green flame pulsated, then quickly shrunk and disappeared. After a while, a different kind of flame appeared between his eyebrows. It was a blue flame. The blue spirit flame represented that Lu Ming's path of inscription had reached level 6. Level 6 Inscription Master. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Through his inner vision, there was a spirit lamp in his mind. The blue spirit flame was dazzling and beautiful. Lu Ming's path of inscription had reached the limit of level 5 a long time ago. After this period of cultivation, he finally broke through and reached level 6. Level 6 Inscription Master was equivalent to the Sea of Soul Realm. Now, I can look at the seal left by Master. Lu Ming controlled the spirit flame and spread it towards the seal left by Liao Tsong. Very easily, the seal left by Liao Tsong was opened. When the path of inscription was at level 5, it couldn't be opened no matter how hard he tried. But when he reached level 6, it was easily opened. Inside, there were all the experiences and insights left by Liao Tsong as a level 6 inscription master. Lu Ming felt as if he had found a treasure. He began to comprehend and cultivate. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days had passed. Fatty, Lu Ming, Miss Xia, how many days will you stay here? I have something to do. How many days will I be gone? Ruan Tingting said to Lu Ming and the other two. Tingting, how many days will you be gone? What are you going to do? Kong Jin asked. Nothing much. I have to complete a mission from the sect. It will take a few days. Ruan Tingting said. Mission? Take me with you. Lu Ming, do you want to go? Kong Jin looked at Lu Ming and asked. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. They had been here for a few days. Lu Ming also wanted to go out and learn more about the situation. You want to go together? Let me tell you, this mission has a certain degree of danger. Ruan Tingting said. If there's danger, then we have to go. Tingting, don't worry, I'll protect you. Kong Jin seized the opportunity to curry favor. Ruan Tingting pondered for a moment and said, You can go if you want, but don't run around when the time comes. Stay by my side. Okay, no problem. I'll definitely be by your side. Kong Jin immediately agreed. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing didn't say much as they followed Ruan Tingting out of the Wind Sword sect and arrived outside Juhao City. The mission this time was mainly to hunt down a peak class 5 demonic beast, the Black Ghost Scorpion. The location was in a dark swamp more than 300,000 miles away from Juhao City. According to Ruan Tingting, the dark swamp was filled with poisonous creatures. It was very dangerous, so she called a few good friends to go with her. Her friends were not from the Wind Sword sect but from other forces. Outside Juhao City, Lu Ming and the rest saw 2 other youths, a male and a female. The female was very beautiful and was about the same age as Ruan Tingting. The male was also quite handsome. Through Ruan Tingting's introduction, Lu Ming and the rest knew that the female was called Qiao Xian. She was a disciple of another sect around Juhao City, the Ocean Cloud sect. The male was called Xueqi. He was also a disciple of the Shi family, one of the forces in Juhao City. Tingting, who are they? Qiao Xian looked curiously at Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin. Haha, how are you, beautiful? I'm Kong Jin. Kong Jin took the initiative to greet. His pair of small eyes swept over Qiao Xian's body, shining brightly. This damn fatty is the same as you, Xian Yanqing whispered in Lu Ming's ear. Lu Ming's face immediately turned bitter. He was wronged. He was greatly wronged. Since when was he as lecherous as Kong Jin, staring at a beauty when he saw her? Humph. Ruan Tingting glared at Kong Jin and ignored him. She introduced to Qiao Xian. This is Lu Ming and Miss Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming? Qiao Xian's eyes suddenly flickered. Xian, do you know Lu Ming? Ruan Tingting asked. No, but this name sounds familiar. I think I've heard it some time ago. Qiao Xian frowned slightly. It's probably someone with the same name. There are many people with the same name in the world. Ruan Tingting said, not minding it. Qiao Xian glanced at Lu Ming and nodded. Then, the group flew in the direction of the dark swamp. More than 300,000 miles. It didn't take long for them to arrive. The dark swamp was in front of them. Be careful later. Don't get lost. Ruan Tingting was still worried and reminded them again. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. This girl had a good heart, but no matter how he looked at her, he felt that she was too naive. Lu Ming and the other 2 naturally nodded. Then the group carefully flew in. Not long after they flew in, many poisonous insects pounced at them. However, their levels weren't high, and they were easily killed by Ruan Tingting's group. Qiao Xian and Xueqi were both peak-tier kings and were quite powerful. The dark swamp was very big, and the group traveled for tens of thousands of miles. We're almost at the location of the Dark Ghost Scorpion. Be careful. Ruan Tingting said. The group withdrew their auras and continued forward. A few hundred miles later, that's the dark ghost scorpion. Kill. In a swamp, they found a huge dark ghost scorpion. Its entire body was black as if it was made of steel. This was their target this time, the dark ghost scorpion. Ruan Tingting yelled and immediately charged at the dark ghost scorpion. The blue sword light was crystal clear as it enveloped the dark ghost scorpion. CC. The dark ghost scorpion let out a hissing sound as its black tail pierced toward Ruan Tingting like a bolt of black lightning. Dang! Dang! The sound of metal clashing rang out as the blue sword light dissipated, and Ruan Tingting's figure couldn't help but retreat. Attack together! Qiao Xian yelled and charged up with Xueqi. Qiao Xian used a soft whip while Xueqi used a large hammer. The two worked together with Ruan Tingting and continuously attacked the dark ghost scorpion. Although the dark ghost scorpion was strong, it was still no match for three martial artists at the same level. Soon, its black shell was cut open by Ruan Tingting's sword, and black blood seeped out. During this process, Lu Ming and the other two didn't interfere. CC. Seeing that it wasn't a match, the dark ghost scorpion turned and ran through the swamp. Chase. Ruan Tingting and the other two chased after the dark ghost scorpion. Let's go take a look as well, Lu Ming said as the other three followed. One chased while the other fled, and they covered several thousand miles in the blink of an eye. Pang! Just as the black ghost scorpion reached a mound, rays of light shot out of the mound, forming a battle sword that sent the black ghost scorpion flying, splitting it in half in the air. What's going on? Ruan Tingting and the others jumped in fright and couldn't help but stop. A ray? Interesting. Chapter 760. Tingting, there seems to be a formation here. Qiao Xian observed the mound with a frown. Why would there be a formation here? Could it be a senior's cultivation cave? Xueqi's eyes lit up. Ruan Tingting put away the dark ghost scorpion's corpse into her storage ring. She looked around and said, "This mound seems to have been here for quite some time. It's overgrown with weeds. No one has been here for a long time. Could this be a cultivation cave left behind by a senior? Ruins left behind by a senior? It's possible." Qiao Xian and Xueqi's eyes lit up. In the history of the Nine Dragon City, countless experts had been born. Some of these experts did not have any descendants, and after their death, they would leave behind cultivation caves, ruins, and so on. If someone came across these ruins, it would be a great opportunity. Could it be that they had come across such a great opportunity? The three of them were ecstatic. But how do we break this formation? If we inform the sex elders, we won't have a share. Ruan Tingting frowned. This formation is quite powerful. That dark ghost scorpion was killed in an instant. I've only learned a little bit of inscription Dao, but I can't break it. Qiao Xian sighed. The three of them looked at each other anxiously. It wasn't easy to come across such a rare opportunity. Were they really going to hand it over to the sex elders? They were unwilling to do so. I know a little bit of inscription Dao. Let me give it a try. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. Lu Ming, you know inscription Dao? Ruan Tingting looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. And I know. Lu Ming nodded, looking at the mound. The owner of this mound should be a grade 6 inscription master. The formation he laid out should be a grade 6 array. Grade 6 array? Then how do we break? Ruan Tingting opened her mouth, but before she could finish her words, her beautiful eyes widened. Lu Ming's fingertips danced in the air, and in the blink of an eye, dense inscription symbols appeared in the air, flying towards the mound. So fast. Ruan Tingting, Qiao Xian, and the others were dumbfounded. Lu Ming's inscription speed was too fast. With a wave of his hand, hundreds and thousands of inscriptions appeared. Wang. On the mound, the light was dazzling, and mysterious inscriptions appeared. Rumble. In the next moment, the mound actually split into two halves, revealing a pitch-black passageway. Open. Open. Ruan Tingting and the others were dumbfounded. It took them a while to react. Lu Ming, I didn't expect that your inscription Dao would be so profound. You even hid it from us before. Ruan Tingting blinked her big eyes in amazement. Ah, damn it. That brat Lu Ming stole the limelight. Damn it. Fatty Kong Jean wailed in his heart, feeling indignant. Let's go in. Lu Ming smiled. All right, let's hurry in. A group of 6 people walked towards the crack in the mound. The tunnel was very long. After several thousand meters, it suddenly opened up, revealing a rather spacious underground space. This was an underground secret room, which should have been artificially excavated. In the middle of the secret chamber, a skeleton sat cross-legged. There was a spatial ring on the skeleton's finger. It's really a senior's cave. This senior should have died many years ago. Ruan Tingting's big eyes shone. Qiao Xian and Xueqi's eyes also shone. A Sea of Soul Realm expert who could lay down a 6th grade array. How many treasures would there be in the ring? To peak kings like them, the temptation was enormous. How about we split it equally? How about it? Qiao Xian suggested. Equally? If not for Lu Ming opening the array, we wouldn't have gotten it at all. I think Lu Ming should get a bit more. Ruan Tingting said. And that's true. Qiao Xian nodded. I have no objection to Lu Ming getting a bit more. But that Fadian girl didn't do anything. I'm afraid it's not good to share it equally with us. Xueqi's eyes flickered. Hey kid, what do you mean by that? Are you looking down on me? Kong Jin was immediately displeased. He, you guys don't need to fight over it. Everything inside is ours. Right at this moment, a sneer was heard, and 2 old men in green robes walked in from the tunnel. Ruan Tingting, Qiao Xian, and Xueqi's faces changed drastically. Especially when they saw the 2 old men's robes. Their faces became even more unsightly. Miao family. You're from Miao family. Qiao Xian exclaimed. That's right. We're from Miao family. In fact, we've already discovered this cave long ago. But the array outside was rather troublesome, so we've been trying to think of a way. Who would have thought that the array would be broken by you guys? Haha, the heavens are really helping us. One of the old men laughed heartily. You two, empty words have no proof. You said that you discovered it first, but no one knew. But this cave was opened by us, and this is the truth. According to the rules, the treasures inside should belong to us. Xueqi argued. Belong to you? Brat, you really have the guts to say that. One of the old men sneered, his eyes revealing a chilling smile. The aura from his body also spread out, terrifying, powerful, and majestic. Sea of Soul Realm, it's the Sea of Soul Realm. Xueqi exclaimed, his face turning pale. Ruan Tingting and Qiao Xian's faces also turned pale. Senior, since you found this place first, it should belong to you. We'll leave immediately, let's go. Ruan Tingting was decisive. Seeing that the situation was not right, she immediately gave up. Go. Go where? One of the old men moved, blocking the tunnel entrance. The other old man's gaze swept over Xian Yanqing, Qiao Xian, and Ruan Tingting. The evil fire in his eyes blazed as he sneered. Our luck today is really too good. There are actually 3 such beautiful little beauties, peerless, truly peerless. The 2 of you can stay and serve the 2 of us. How about this? That chick belongs to me, and the other 2 belong to you. How about it? The old man blocking the tunnel pointed at Xian Yanqing, his eyes burning with desire. You really know how to choose. The other old man curled his lips. As for Ruan Tingting and Qiao Xian, their faces were already pale without the slightest trace of blood. 2 seniors, my father is the Sea Cloud Sex Patriarch. Please let us go. Qiao Xian's small face was snow white, her voice trembling. So, it's the daughter of the Sea Cloud Sex Patriarch. Haha. Then it'll be even more fun to play with. One of the old men laughed, not afraid at all. Ruan Tingting and the others revealed a look of despair. The Miao family wasn't a force near Juhao City. The Miao family was located on top of the Dragon Vein. They had the qualifications to establish a force on top of the Dragon Vein. The forces near Juhao City couldn't be compared to them. Chapter 761. Lu Ming, don't fight with me this time. And Miss Xie, calm down, I'll take care of it. Kong Jin suddenly transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Ah! Lu Ming was stunned. Xian Yanqing's eyes emitted a cold light, and he was also stunned. At this time, Kong Jin stepped out and shouted, I say, you 2 old guys, do you think I'm invisible? Now, kneel down and admit your mistakes to these ladies, and I'll consider lenient punishment. The sudden words made Ruan Tingting, Qiao Xian, and Xueqi a little stunned. Fat pig, what did you say? An old man's face darkened. Old guy, are you deaf? I told you to kneel down and admit your mistakes. Kong Jin said with a cold face. Lu Ming smiled slightly and didn't step forward. If this fatty wanted to show off in front of the beauties, let him go. Anyway, these two old guys from the Miao family were dead meat in Lu Ming's eyes. Xian Yanqing snorted and didn't make a move. Fatty, you want to die? Ruan Tingting's face was pale as she walked to Kong Jin and whispered, Tingting, don't worry. With me here, no one can hurt you. I can suppress these two old guys with one hand. Kong Jin straightened his back and said loudly. He was telling the truth. The two old men were both at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual sea realm. He was confident that he could suppress them with one hand. It's over, it's over. Ruan Tingting, Qiao Xian, and the others thought that the fatty was bragging and lamented in their hearts. They were definitely done for today. They even decided that they would rather die than fall into the hands of the two old men. Fat pig, you want to be a hero and save the beauty? Look at yourself first. I'll chop you up now. An old man revealed a cold smile. His figure moved as fast as lightning, and a claw grabbed at the fatty. Fast, too fast. Moreover, an enormous pressure spread out and pressed down on Ruan Tingting and the others. They felt as if an incomparably heavy mountain was pressing down on them, and they couldn't even resist. The difference between a normal peak king warrior and a peak first layer spiritual ocean realm expert was too great. A single slap could kill a large number of them. Ruan Tingting and the other two felt despair in their hearts. They realized that they might not even be able to commit suicide in the hands of the two elders. But in the next moment, their eyes suddenly widened. The fatty stretched out his hand and accurately grabbed the old man's wrist. Gotcha! In the next moment, the sound of bones breaking came from the old man's wrist, followed by the old man's shrill scream. Damn fat pig, let go of me! The old man roared as green true yuan emanated from his body. His cultivation erupted as his other palm struck towards Kong Jin. Bang! Kong Jin was very direct. He raised his arm and swung it. The old man's body was like a broken sack. He was heavily thrown to the ground. With a loud bang, the ground shook. The old man's body crashed into the ground, creating a big pit. His mental state and Zhan Yuan dissipated without a trace. Bang! Kong Jin swung his arm again. The old man created another big pit in the ground. Even the secret room rumbled and shook. The old man was lying in the big pit, vomiting blood continuously. His body was like a pile of mud. His eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. With his peak first layer spiritual ocean realm cultivation, he couldn't resist Kong Jin's hands. Kong Jin said he would suppress him with one hand, so he did it with one hand. Monster! This is a monster! The old man roared in his heart. Ruan Tingting, Qiao Xian, and Xueqi were already petrified. They widened their eyes and looked at the tall and straight Kong Jin, dumbfounded. This was especially true for Ruan Tingting. She had known Kong Jin for some time, but she had never seen him fight before. She had never dreamed that this gluttonous and lazy fatty would be so terrifying. A peak first layer spiritual ocean realm expert was as weak as a baby in Kong Jin's hands. This was unbelievable. It was like a dream. Clown, how dare you speak rudely to Tingting? You're courting death. Kong Jin tried his best to straighten his chest and make himself look as majestic as possible. TSK, you really know how to pretend. Xian Yanqing despised him. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and touched his nose. Go quickly. Bring the Miao family's experts and kill this fatty. I want them to die, all of them. The mud-like old man roared. The old man at the entrance of the passage suddenly reacted and turned to run. But the moment he turned, he suddenly saw a figure standing at the entrance of the passage, looking at him with a faint smile. It was Lu Ming, but he didn't know when Lu Ming appeared there. Boy, get out of my way. He had no time to think. With a roar, he charged toward Lu Ming. The terrifying true essence and concept condensed into a sharp blade and slashed at Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming as quickly as possible and then escape. He couldn't let that fatty catch up. That fatty was too terrifying. He secretly swore in his heart that as long as he escaped, he would bring the Miao family's experts to kill that fatty and flatten the Sea Cloud sect. Then, he saw Lu Ming stretched out a palm and slapped him. Bang! The saber gleam that he unleashed with all his might fell like tofu on Lu Ming's palm. Wherever Lu Ming's palm passed by, all his attacks and defenses vanished. Thereafter, Lu Ming's palm slapped him hard on the face. Pa! With a crisp sound, the old man felt the world was spinning. His body flew far away and fell in front of Kong Jin. Blood spurted from his mouth and he looked confused. The old man, who looked like a pile of mud, was also dumbfounded. Ruan Tingting, Chao Xian, Xueqi, and the rest widened their eyes so much that their eyeballs almost popped out. They looked at Lu Ming in a daze and then at the old man who had been slapped until he was dizzy. They rubbed their eyes hard, thinking that they were dreaming. Lu Ming! Ruan Tingting and others couldn't speak fluently. They didn't know what to say at all. First it was Kong Jin, then Lu Ming. In their hands, two powerful figures at the peak of the first tier of the spiritual sea realm were simply trash and toys. They couldn't resist at all. Birds of a feather flocked together. They thought of this sentence. That fatty was so strong. How could Lu Ming be weak? And Xian Yanqing. They looked at Xian Yanqing, who still had a look of disdain on his face, and were speechless. Who on earth were these people? Were they at the top of the list of top 1,000 talents? Lu Ming, you're fighting with me again? Kong Jin glanced at Lu Ming unhappily. I'm afraid that he'll run away. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Humph, he can't run away with me. It'll be a matter of minutes to deal with these two trash. Okay, Tingting, how should we deal with them now? Kong Jin looked at Ruan Tingting. Kill them, we must kill them. Otherwise, the Miao family won't let us go when they go back. Chapter 762. No, please, spare us. When we go back, we promise we won't say a word. Let's just forget about what happened today. Yes, let's forget about it. The two Miao family elders cried out in a hurry. Unfortunately, I don't believe you. Ruan Tingting's face was cold, and bright sword light poured out. The two pitiful Miao family elders had strength, but were scattered by Lu Ming and Kong Jin's attacks. They had no power to resist and were pierced through by the sword light. Taking a deep breath, Ruan Tingting's gaze shifted from Lu Ming to Kong Jin. She said, Fatty, you've had a hard time keeping it from me. You're obviously so powerful, but you didn't tell me. Tingting, you didn't ask me, did you? Kong Jin laughed. This time, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, we'd be in danger. How about this? All the storage rings here belong to you. We don't want anything. Chao Xian said. That's how it should be. Ruan Tingting nodded. Although Xueqi was a little unwilling, this time it was all thanks to Lu Ming and Kong Jin, so he didn't have the face to ask for a share. Everyone found this place together, so let's divide it equally. Lu Ming stepped forward and devoured the essence and blood of the two elders without anyone noticing. Two martial artists in the first layer of the spiritual sea realm, and Lu Ming estimated that the skeleton was at most in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm when it was alive. With Lu Ming's current realm, he wasn't too tempted, so he proposed to divide it equally. Chao Xian, Xueqi, and the others were local bullies. Although their cultivation wasn't strong, it might be useful to have a good relationship with them. And Lu Ming is right. Let's divide it equally. You guys count it. Kong Jin inhaled with his Zhan Yuan, sucking the storage rings into his hand and handing them to Ruan Tingting. Thank you, Brother Kong and Brother Lu. Xueqi expressed his gratitude immediately, his face showing joy. Thus, Ruan Tingting and Chao Xian didn't refuse and began to count. In the end, the six of them divided it equally. Since the mission is complete, let's go back first. Thank you for your help this time. In 2 days, I'll treat you to a good meal. Ruan Tingting smiled. Chao Xian and Xueqi were also grinning from ear to ear. This time around, they had struck gold. They exited the underground secret chamber, and nothing happened along the way. Not long after, they returned to Juhao City. Chao Xian and Xueqi were the first to leave, returning to their respective factions. Lu Ming, Ruan Tingting, and the others returned to the courtyard. After returning to the courtyard, Ruan Tingting left first. She had to turn in the Black Ghost Scorpion's mission. Ruan Tingting went to the mission hall to submit her mission. Just as she was about to go back, she was blocked by a figure. Yi Qing, is something the matter? Ruan Tingting's eyes darkened as she looked at the figure in front of her. The person standing in front of her was a woman. Her appearance was not bad, but her somewhat unkind eyes destroyed her beauty. Ruan Tingting, my father is looking for you. Let's go to the meeting hall. Yi Qing said coldly. Sect master is looking for me? Ruan Tingting frowned. Yi Qing's father was the Wind Sword sect's sect master. Regardless of talent or beauty, Ruan Tingting was above Yi Qing. In the past, Yi Qing had always been jealous of Ruan Tingting and would find trouble with her at the slightest provocation. Their relationship was very bad. Let's go. Yi Qing turned and walked out. The sneer at the corner of her mouth was even thicker. There was even a faint smug smile. Ruan Tingting frowned. She had a bad premonition, but since the sect master was looking for her, she had no choice but to go. Not long after, Ruan Tingting and Yi Qing arrived at the Wind Sword sect's meeting hall. In the meeting hall, not only was the Wind Sword sect's sect master Yefe there, but there were also a few elders with real power. They were all experts above the Spirit Sea realm. Su Luo. Ruan Tingting saw Su Luo behind an elder. Su Luo's father was an elder. At this moment, Su Luo looked at her with a somewhat cold gaze. For some reason, Ruan Tingting had a bad premonition in her heart. Disciple greets sect master and elders. Ruan Tingting bowed and greeted. Rise. Wind Sword sect master Yefe smiled faintly. Thank you, palace master, said Ruan Tingting. Yes, Tingting, your Ruan clan has been blessed by the Wind Sword sect for generations, and the Wind Sword sect has fostered you wholeheartedly as well. Now, there's a matter that concerns the rise and fall of the Wind Sword sect that requires your help. You won't refuse, right? Said Yefe. Ruan Tingting's heart jerked. She knew they were about to get to the point, and she said, Please speak, sect master. So long as it's within Tingting's ability, I'll surely do my best. Tingting, you ought to know of the 100 Supremacy Mountain, right? Said Yefe. 100 Supremacy Mountain? Could it be that it's already opened? Ruan Tingting was shocked. The 100 Supremacy Mountain is an extremely profound paradise of cultivation. According to legend, there are imprints and even inheritances left behind by over 100 domain enlightened spirit gods within the 100 Supremacy Mountain. Normally, it isn't opened at all, and it's only opened before the battle of karmic luck. The geniuses of those great clans are naturally able to enter at will, but small powers like us have a fixed quota. This time, there are a total of 36 powers in the surroundings of Luxury Gathering City, Star Gathering City, and Wind Gathering City, and they only have a total of 30 quotas. Moreover, only the 6 strongest powers have the qualifications to be allocated a quota. So, 10 days from now, the 36 powers will dispatch their strongest experts to compete for the top 6 positions. Yefe explained. Sect Master, this sort of competition will definitely be fought by Sea Spirit Realm experts, right? My cultivation is weak, so how could I be of any help? Ruan Tingting spoke with bewilderment. Yes, it'll naturally be Sea Spirit Realm experts. The ancestor of my Windsword sect will emerge from his closed-door cultivation as well. However, with the strength of my Windsword sect, it's utterly impossible to enter the top 6. We have to seek help from outside. Only in this way would we be able to enter the top 6. We absolutely can't miss this opportunity. At that time, a few geniuses of my Windsword sect will be able to enter, and only then will we be able to rise abruptly in the future, said Yefe. Ruan Tingting still didn't speak. She still didn't know what she needed to do. Tingting, to tell you the truth, the 2 seniors of Clear River Mountain have taken a liking to you. So long as you agree to marry them, they'll lend a hand to my Windsword sect. In that way, it'll be very likely for my Windsword sect to seize the top 6 positions. As soon as he finished speaking, Yefe looked at Ruan Tingting with a bright gaze. Rumble. It was as if thunderclaps had resounded in Ruan Tingting's mind. After speaking for so long, Yefei's true objective was finally exposed. He actually wanted her to marry the 2 weirdos of Clear River Mountain. The 2 weirdos of Clear River were 2 old monsters that had lived for over 1,000 years. They had a vicious and eccentric temperament, and were well known in the vicinity of Gathering Luxury City. Yefei actually wanted to use her as a condition to marry the 2 old monsters in exchange for their help. Yes, to marry the 2 old monsters at the same time. Ruan Tingting never imagined that there would be such a thing. I don't agree. Ruan Tingting clenched her fists tightly and took a deep breath. She looked at Yefe with a determined gaze and said. Yefe frowned, and the other elders frowned as well. Tingting, you have to know how important this opportunity is to the Windsword sect. The 2 seniors of Clear River Mountain, one of them is at the 4th layer of the spiritual sea spirit realm, while the other is at the peak of the 3rd layer. With their help, we'll definitely be able to seize a spot in the top 6. Even if we're in 6th place, we'll still have 3 spots. This concerns the rise and fall of the Windsword sect. Chapter 763. No, I don't agree. Sect Master, if you want to ask for help, you can ask others. Why must you ask the 2 monsters of Clear River? Ruan Tingting said. Ask others? Then what kind of experts can you invite? Tell me. Yi Fa sneered. I have a few friends with extremely high cultivation and powerful battle prowess. You can ask them to come help us. Ruan Tingting thought of Lu Ming, Kong Jin, and Xian Yanqing. Ha ha ha, Ruan Tingting. You're not talking about those brats living in your side courtyard, are you? On the side, Su Luo laughed loudly. That's right, it's them. Ruan Tingting gritted her teeth and said. Kong Jin and Lu Ming could easily crush the 2 Miao family elders who were at the peak of the 1st layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Their battle prowess was definitely above the 2nd layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Ruan Tingting thought that if she begged them, perhaps Kong Jin and the others would agree. Hee hee, laughable. What can those brats help us with? Drag us down? But that chick looks pretty good. As beautiful as a fairy. Don't tell me you want her to use a honey trap? Haha. Su Luo laughed loudly. Humph, she just wants to find a random reason to refuse. She completely disregards the sect and only cares about herself. Yi Qing said coldly. All right, the 2 seniors of Clear River Mountain are at the peak of the 4th and 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Where can we find such battle prowess? Finding them is the safest choice. This matter is settled. Yi Fa said. No, I don't agree. Sect Master, it's not like you don't know what kind of people the 2 monsters of Clear River are. They are 2 old monsters. Who knows how many innocent girls have died in their hands? Ruan Tingting shook her head. Nonsense. How could the 2 seniors of Clear River Mountain be that kind of people? You have to agree to this matter. Yi Fa's face darkened as he scolded. That's right, Ruan Tingting. Those are 2 powerful figures in the spiritual ocean realm. Being able to marry them is your fortune. This is also the benefit that the sect fought for you. It's fine if you don't thank them, but you dare to refuse? Yi Qing's eyes revealed a delighted light as she said coldly. Since it's so good, then why don't you marry them? Since it's for the sect, then marry them. Ruan Tingting stared at Yi Qing and shouted. Nonsense. The 2 seniors from Qinghe Mountain have their eyes on you. All right, this matter is settled. Go back and pack up. In 2 days, follow me to Qinghe Mountain. Yi Fa slammed the table and scolded, directly making a decision. No, I won't marry. I'd rather die than marry, unless you kill me and carry my corpse there. Ruan Tingting gritted her teeth. Her eyes were red as she looked at Yi Fa with determination. How dare you, evil creature! What an ingrate! The other elders shouted angrily and glared at Ruan Tingting. Ha ha ha! Ruan Tingting suddenly laughed. At this moment, her heart was as cold as ice. She was completely disappointed in this sect. For generations, my Ruan family has given our all to the Wind Sword sect. We've fought bloody battles and made countless contributions. My elder brother died in battle for the sect. My Ruan family doesn't owe the sect anything. You don't have to use any favors to suppress me. Ruan Tingting completely exploded. She stood up straight and glanced at Yi Fa and the other elders. Her eyes were filled with disappointment. You don't have to give any high-sounding reasons. No matter what you say, it's all for the sake of the sect. You're just doing it for your own selfish reasons. You want to send your descendants, these pieces of trash, into the 100 Supremes Mountain. Are their talents the strongest in the Wind Sword sect? Ruan Tingting pointed at Yi Qing and Su Luo. Bitch, what did you say? Who are you calling trash? Yi Qing screamed. Isn't it? How many resources did the sect spend on you? If these resources were used on me, I would have broken through to the Sea of Soul realm long ago. As for you, you just broke through to the Peak King realm. If you're not trash, what are you? Ruan Tingting berated loudly. Bitch, you're talking nonsense. I want you dead. Yi Qing's voice was sharp and her face was distorted. Ruan Tingting had hit her sore spot. If the quota this time is really given to those talented disciples, I can agree. But if it's given to these trash, I won't agree. Wan Tingting said. The matter of the quota is arranged by the sect. It's not up to you to interfere. Yi Fei's face was extremely cold as he said in a deep voice. Wan Tingting shook her head and smiled bitterly. Her talent was definitely one of the best in the Wind Sword sect. But normally, she was suppressed everywhere. Any good resources would be given to Yi Qing, Su Luo, and the others first because they had backing. As for her, most of her resources were obtained through her own missions. She wouldn't say anything about this. Birth was different, and fate was like this. She could only rely on herself. But now, Yi Fei and the others were actually so shameless. They wanted to sacrifice her in exchange for Yi Qing and the others' opportunity. She would never agree. I'll say it again. Kill me or I won't agree to this. Wan Tingting's reply was resolute and decisive. Wan Tingting, you better think carefully. You have to know that your parents are still in the sect. You better think about their safety. Yi Fei said in a deep voice. Wan Tingting's delicate body trembled violently. Her face was pale without a trace of blood. Yi Fei actually used her parents to threaten her. Was this something a sect master would do? Despicable. Shameless. Yi Fei, you guys are despicable and shameless. Wan Tingting yelled. Bastard! How dare you? Wan Tingting, follow me to Qinghe Mountain in 2 days. Otherwise, you will have to collect your parents' corpses. Moreover, you still have to go. Yi Fei stood up and emitted a powerful aura that pressed down on Wan Tingting. Wan Tingting's body trembled as a trace of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Her eyes were filled with despair. She had no choice. Her parents' lives were in the hands of the Wind Sword sect. She could only compromise. Hee, Wan Tingting, aren't you pretty? Congratulations to you for marrying 2 almighties. Yi Qing let out a gloating laugh. Haha, Wan Tingting, when I enter the 100 Supremes Mountain in the future and obtain a great opportunity to become a peerless expert, I will definitely not forget your kindness. Su Luo laughed haughtily and was extremely carefree. With trash like you guys, you will never achieve anything great. Wan Tingting looked at them coldly before turning around and leaving the conference hall. Humph, bitch, just you wait. Yi Qing snorted coldly. Wan Tingting walked out of the conference hall in a daze. She only felt despair in her heart. The road ahead was long, but she couldn't see any hope. She flew out of the Wind Sword sect in a daze and disappeared into the distance. She only returned to her courtyard in the evening. Tingting, what's wrong? Why are your eyes red? Did someone bully you? Kong Jean asked hurriedly after seeing Wan Tingting. I'm fine. Hurry up and move out of my courtyard now and leave the Wind Sword sect. Wan Tingting said coldly. You want to chase us away? Why? Kong Jean was a little stunned. Chapter 764. Why do you have so many questions? I hate you, and I don't welcome you now. Leave, I don't want to see you. Wan Tingting's face was cold as she ordered them to leave. Tingting, what's the matter? You were fine before, what happened to you? Kong Jean asked. I told you to leave. Didn't you hear me? You're not welcome here. Leave. Are you trying to bully me with your high cultivation? I'm not afraid. Wan Tingting shouted stubbornly. Tingting, what's the matter? Tell us, I'll help you solve it. Kong Jean shouted. Wan Tingting gritted her teeth and almost wanted to say it, but she remembered that there was a 3rd-level Spirit Sea Realm Old Ancestor and a few 2nd-level Spirit Sea Realm experts in the Wind Sword sect. If she told Kong Jean and the rest, they would be implicated. She gritted her teeth and didn't say anything, only wanting to chase Kong Jean and the rest away. Fatty, let's go first. Lu Ming walked over, pulled Kong Jean, and walked out. But, Tingting. Kong Jean wanted to say more. Go, let's leave first. Lu Ming pulled Fatty and walked out. Xian Yanqing followed beside Lu Ming. Watching Lu Ming and the rest leave, Wan Tingting couldn't hold back her tears any longer and streamed down. Lu Ming pulled Kong Jean out of the Wind Sword sect's mountain gate. Lu Ming, why did you pull me out? Tingting definitely has something to do with her. Kong Jean said. Do you think I can't tell? Lu Ming said. If you can tell, why did you still bring me out? There must be an inside story. She doesn't want to say it. Perhaps she's afraid of implicating us. We can only come out first and think of a solution. Lu Ming frowned. What solution do you have? Kong Jin asked. Now we have to know what happened first and then solve it. Let's go to Zhuhao City first. Didn't we leave Miss Chao Xian's voice transmission jade talisman? She's so close to Tingting. Maybe she knows something. Let's ask her first. Lu Ming said. Maybe it's because of the Wind Sword sect, or maybe it's because of her family. I saw her crying. Xian Yanqing said. Go to Zhuhao City first. I'll send a voice transmission to Miss Chao Xian. Lu Ming took out a voice transmission jade talisman. At this moment, his gaze flickered. Miss Chao Xian sent me a message first, asking us to gather at Gathering Luxury City. Lu Ming said. Have. Tea. To. It. Chao Xian told them everything she knew. Despicable, and shameless Wind Sword sect. What sect master? What elders? They're shameless to the extreme. Kong Jin was enraged after hearing that. He was like a mad beast. This sect shouldn't exist in this world. Xian Yanqing's voice was also incomparably cold. Miss Chao Xian, you're guessing that Tingting will take the risk to save her parents? Lu Ming asked. Given Tingting's character, it's very likely. Chao Xian said. Oh no, if you can guess it, how can the Wind Sword sect not guess it? If Tingting goes, she'll be in danger. Let's hurry back to the Wind Sword sect. Lu Ming's face changed. When Chao Xian found Lu Ming and the rest, Ruan Tingting had already started to move in the Wind Sword sect. She changed into a black robe and turned into a black phantom in the night, flying towards the depths of the Wind Sword sect. After passing through many pavilions and palaces, Ruan Tingting appeared in a courtyard. Who's there? When Ruan Tingting appeared, a voice came from one of the rooms. Immediately after, two silhouettes appeared in the courtyard of the courtyard. It was a middle-aged couple. Tingting, it's you. Why are you here in the middle of the night? The middle-aged man was stunned when he saw Tingting. Father, mother, follow me. Let's leave this place and leave the Wind Sword sect. Ruan Tingting's eyes were red. Tingting, what happened? The middle-aged couple was even more confused. Father, mother, they want me to marry the Qinghe mountain monsters and even use you to threaten me. Ruan Tingting then briefly explained what had happened. What? How did this happen? Our Ruan family has done everything we can for the Wind Sword sect. How could they do this to you? No, I must ask the sect master. The middle-aged man said angrily. Father, it's useless. Their attitude is very firm. To them, it's only right to use my happiness to fulfill their children. Let's go. Ruan Tingting said. This was also the reason why she came personally and didn't send a message to her parents. She was afraid that her father would look for Yi Fa directly after receiving the news. By then, they wouldn't be able to leave even if they wanted to. Yeah, listen to Tingting. There's no need to stay in such a sect anymore. Ruan Tingting's mother said. All right, let's go. Ruan Tingting's father clenched his teeth. The three of them carefully left the courtyard and headed out of the sect. After bypassing the many courtyards and exiting the core area of the Wind Sword sect, the terrain became more spacious. However, the three of them stopped. In front, Yi Qing and Su Luo stood in front with a cold smile. Behind them was a group of people. Ruan Tingting, how dare you bring your parents to betray the Wind Sword sect and disregard the prosperity of the Wind Sword sect? This is a heinous crime. Yi Qing had a smug smile on her face as she sneered. Yi Qing, admit that you're despicable and shameless. Don't use those high-sounding reasons to suppress me. You're just doing it for yourself. Even if I die, I won't let you have your way. Ruan Tingting's face was very pale. She knew that she wouldn't be able to leave today. Impudent, you bitch. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like that? Men, take those two old men down and cripple their cultivation. I'll see if that bitch still obeys. Yi Qing screamed. Immediately, a few figures walked out from behind her. Charge out. Ruan Tingting's father yelled. His aura burst out as he charged out. Ruan Tingting's father was also a peak-tier king. At the same time, Ruan Tingting and her mother also charged out. Today, they would only have a chance if they killed their way out. Ruan Tingting's mother was a 9th-level martial king. Together with Ruan Tingting, the three of them instantly forced the two men back. You still dare to fight back? Attack together. Su Luo waved his hand. Immediately, the people behind them attacked. There were more than 10 of them. Among them, 3 were peak-tier kings while the rest were late-stage kings. Chapter 765. Wang. Right at this moment, a small dagger appeared in Yuan Tingting's hand. The dagger danced in the air, shooting out cold rays of light. Puchi! A man's arm was sliced off as he screamed and retreated. 6th grade spirit weapon. How do you have a 6th grade spirit weapon? Damn it! Take them down. This 6th grade spirit weapon is mine. Yi Qing screamed as greed appeared in her eyes. Yuan Tingting's spirit weapon was naturally obtained from the storage rings of the Sea of Soul Realm martial artists. Yuan Tingting controlled the 6th grade spirit weapon, and her battle power was already suppressing the other peak kings. She was about to charge out. But right at this moment, sounds of air being torn apart could be heard from behind. At least a few dozen figures were flying over. 2 of them had auras as deep as the ocean. They were Sea of Soul Realm experts. The leader of the Wind Sword sect, Yi Fa, and Su Luo's father, Su Tingshan. Yuan Tingting's family revealed looks of despair. Not only did your family betray the sect, but you also injured your fellow sect members. Take them all down. Yi Fa ordered. More than a dozen figures flew out from behind Yi Fa. More than half of them were peak kings. Tingting, run. I'll stall them. Yuan Tingting's father roared as he charged toward the dozen figures. Father! Yuan Tingting yelled. Run, run. Tingting, you can't marry the Clear River monsters. Run. Yuan Tingting's father roared as his aura turned berserk. Not good, he's going to self-destruct. Someone exclaimed. You're courting death. At this moment, Su Tingshan stepped out and pressed down with his palm. A mountain-like palm print smashed onto Yuan Tingting's father's body. Puchi! Yuan Tingting's father coughed out large mouthfuls of blood as cracking sounds came from his body. Father, don't! Yuan Tingting yelled. Run, run! Yuan Tingting's father ignored his injuries and charged over. Yuan Zhen, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Su Tingshan stepped out and pointed out with his finger. A terrifying finger energy shot toward Yuan Tingting's father like a sharp sword. Puchi! The finger energy pierced through Yuan Zhen's chest and pierced through his heart. Quick, let's go! Yuan Zhen spat out his last sentence. His life force was extinguished, and he fell to the ground. No, no, no! Yuan Tingting's eyes were red as she screamed crazily. Brother Zhen! Yuan Tingting's mother also shouted and rushed towards Yuan Zhen's body. Without your parents, you still have to go to Qinghe Mountain. I'll kill your parents now and seal your cultivation. 2 days later, I'll send you to Qinghe Mountain. Su Tingshan strode forward and pointed his finger again. Puff! Yuan Tingting's mother had just caught Yuan Zhen's body when she was pierced by the finger force and fell to the ground. She turned her head to look at Yuan Tingting one last time before her life force dissipated. Father, mother, ah! I want all of you dead! Yuan Tingting shouted crazily. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. She rushed towards Su Tingshan crazily. The aura on her body was extremely violent. You want to self-destruct in front of me? How is that possible? Su Tingshan snorted and threw out a palm strike. Yuan Tingting's body shook violently as she coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Her body was sent flying far away. Her cultivation had already been sealed by Su Tingshan's true essence. A burly man flew forward and caught Yuan Tingting. Yi Fei had been watching coldly from the beginning to the end. Kill me. You'd better kill me. Otherwise, I swear that I'll definitely kill all of you. I'll definitely destroy the Wind Sword sect and avenge my parents. Yuan Tingting's eyes were filled with hatred. Just you? Hee hee, if you can last 3 months under the hands of the Qinghe twin monsters, consider it my loss. Yi Qing sneered coldly. Yuan Tingting, you only have yourself to blame for all of this. If you had agreed obediently, why would all of this happen? All of this was caused by you. Su Luo sneered. All right, take her away and lock her up. Yi Fei waved his hand. Whoever dares to touch Tingting, I'll kill him. Right at this moment, an earth-shattering roar sounded. A terrifying killing intent spread from outside the Wind Sword sect as if a peerless beast had awakened. 4 figures instantly appeared in the area. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin, and Qiao Xian had finally arrived. Let go of your filthy hands. Kong Jin exuded a terrifying aura. The large axe in his hand was covered in blood. A wind sword sect disciple had tried to stop him and was directly chopped down by his axe. At this moment, the aura of savagery on his body was extremely dense. His figure moved and appeared in front of the burly man who had grabbed Ruan Tingting. That burly man was shocked and was about to retreat, but Kong Jin's large hand reached out and grabbed his neck. With a crack, that burly man whose cultivation had reached the peak-tier king realm had his neck broken. Kong Jin took the opportunity to pull Ruan Tingting into his embrace. "Tingting, are you all right?" Kong Jin looked worriedly at Ruan Tingting. "Father, mother." Ruan Tingting's tears kept falling as she stared blankly at the corpses of her parents. Boom, boom. Lu Ming's aura was like a mountain. He took a large step forward and the world rumbled. He didn't hide his cold killing intent at all. "A bunch of trash. Today you will all die." Lu Ming's voice was cold and emotionless. "It's you little bastards. You actually dared to barge into the Wind Sword sect. Speak. Did you collude with that bitch Ruan Tingting and plot against my Wind Sword sect?" Su Luo pointed at Lu Ming and yelled, "Kill." Lu Ming hollered and stretched out his palm to clench the air. Su Luo instantly felt himself being bound by a force as his body flew toward Lu Ming. "Ah! Father, save me." Su Luo was scared and screamed in terror. "Kid, let go of my son." Su Tingshan stepped forward, wanting to save him. Boom. Lu Ming punched out with his other hand, and a fist radiance flew out and sent Su Tingshan flying back. In the next moment, Su Luo landed in Lu Ming's hands and was held by Lu Ming by the throat. "Speak. Who killed the two of them?" Lu Ming pointed at the corpses of Ruan Tingting's parents and asked Su Luo, "Kid, how dare you capture me? Let me down. You're courting death. Do you know that?" Su Luo yelled. Poof. A force flew out and chopped off one of Su Luo's arms. Su Luo instantly let out a hysterical scream. "Speak." The cold killing intent on Lu Ming's body became even more intense. "Ah, I'll speak. I'll speak. My father killed them. It's my father. It has nothing to do with me." Su Luo screamed and betrayed Su Tingshan. Su Tingshan's face was ugly as he roared, "Kid, let go of my son. Otherwise, I guarantee that you won't be able to walk out of the Wind Sword sect." At this moment, another two powerful auras descended. They were two extremely powerful elders of the Wind Sword sect. "Is that so? I'd like to see how you're going to prevent me from walking out of the Wind Sword sect." Lu Ming sneered as a force burst forth from his palm. Bam! Su Luo exploded in Lu Ming's hand and turned into a bloody mist. "Luo, ah, damn it! I want you to pay with your life." Chapter 766. Kill. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense. He strode forward and charged towards Su Tingshan. "Sect leader, elders, let's attack together and kill this kid." Su Tingshan's expression changed as he shouted. He received Lu Ming's punch just now and was rather fearful of Lu Ming. "Attack!" The other two elders attacked. At the same time, Su Tingshan attacked as well. The three of them joined forces and charged towards Lu Ming. The two elders were at the peak of the first level of the spiritual sea realm, while Su Tingshan was at the late stage of the first level. Yefa didn't attack and stood by the side. When the three of them joined forces, their aura was grand and boundless. The momentum was extremely terrifying. However, Lu Ming didn't even blink. His expression was still cold as he stared at Su Tingshan. Just as the three's attacks were about to land on Lu Ming instantly threw out 3 punches. 3 screams. Su Tingshan and the other two spat out blood and flew far away. How could this be? The people of the Wind Sword sect were dumbfounded as they watched this scene in shock. This young man was actually so terrifying. With one move, he heavily injured 3 spiritual sea realm elders. This was too unbelievable. Today, no one can save you. Lu Ming walked towards Su Tingshan step by step. Su Tingshan's heart trembled and his face turned pale. He retreated frantically and shouted, sect leader, save me." Yefa's expression was ugly. Lu Ming injured 3 elders with one move. Even he couldn't do it. His cultivation was only at the early stage of the second level of the spiritual sea realm. "Retreat! Retreat! Quickly ask the Grand Elder to come out." Yefa roared and retreated with his people, not caring about Su Tingshan at all. Sect leader! Su Tingshan shouted in despair. What are you shouting for? Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of Su Tingshan, striking a palm towards Su Tingshan. Su Tingshan tried his best to resist, but it was useless. He was struck down by Lu Ming's palm and smashed into the mountain below the Wind Sword sect, creating a huge crater that was dozens of meters wide. Lu Ming's hand glowed as a long spear condensed from Zhan Yuan appeared in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the long spear shot out like lightning towards Su Tingshan and pierced through his dantian. Boom! A rumbling sound echoed out from Su Tingshan's dantian region as his spiritual sea was pierced by Lu Ming and exploded. His spiritual sea was broken, and his cultivation was crippled. Su Tingshan let out a hysterical scream. The other people of the Wind Sword sect had pale faces. A Sea of Soul Realm elder was as weak as a baby in Lu Ming's hands. Yi Fei's eyes flashed with humiliation, but he didn't dare to make a move. In his eyes, Lu Ming was simply unfathomable, giving him immense pressure. He had a feeling that if he made a move, he would end up like Su Tingshan. Therefore he retreated. He had to wait for help. Yi Qing's face was also incomparably pale, but there was jealousy in her eyes. She was jealous of Ruan Tingting. Why did such a powerful young expert stand up for her while she didn't? You can't escape. Xian Yanqing's figure suddenly appeared not far from Yi Fei and pressed down with one hand. Boom! The sky demon force field enveloped Yi Fei and the others with an incomparably huge pressure. Some people directly screamed. Under the huge pressure, their bones broke and they coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Even Yi Fei's face changed drastically. He had to use all the Zhan Yuan in his body to resist. Charge! An elder who was injured by Lu Ming just now roared, wanting to break through the sky demon force field and rush out. But in the next moment, the other people of the Wind Sword sect widened their eyes in horror because they saw that the lower half of the elder's body rushed out, but the lower half was still in place. He was cut in half at the waist. When that elder saw this scene, he let out a miserable scream of fear. However, he did not die immediately. You'd better not move, Xian Yanqing said coldly. Yi Fei's face was pale. Who were these people? They were too horrifying. He felt that any one of them could easily kill him. Could it be that the friends that Ruan Tingting asked to help the Wind Sword sect compete are these people? Yi Fei thought to himself. He had a feeling that perhaps he was wrong this time. But now that things had come to this, he could only bite the bullet and continue. Now, he could only hope that the Wind Sword sect's ancestor could rush over as soon as possible. The Wind Sword sect's ancestor was at the peak of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm and could definitely kill these brats. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the half-dead Su Tingshan, throwing him in front of Ruan Tingting. This person needed Ruan Tingting to kill. He stepped out and appeared in front of Yi Fei and the others. Today, all of you have to die. There's no need for the Wind Sword sect to remain in this world. The infinite dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and the spear light soared into the sky. Today, he was going to flatten the Wind Sword sect. Lu Ming! At this moment, a voice came from behind. It was Ruan Tingting's voice. At this moment, Ruan Tingting's sealed cultivation had already been released by Kong Jin. Her gaze was bone-chilling, revealing a bone-piercing murderous intent. She said, Lu Ming, don't kill them. I want to take revenge with my own hands. One day, I will flatten the Wind Sword sect with my own hands and take revenge for my parents. Lu Ming was slightly taken aback, then nodded. All right. Lu Ming understood that Ruan Tingting had to take revenge with her own hands. This way, there wouldn't be an inner demon in her heart that would hinder her future cultivation. As for Su Tingshan, you have to die today. Ruan Tingting looked at Su Tingshan. No, save me. Su Tingshan yelled. He was all too clear about Ruan Tingting, Ruan Zhan, and the others' backgrounds. They didn't have any powerful friends, so he killed without restraint. Never in his dreams would he have thought that he would provoke such terrifying fiends. Now, he was extremely regretful. Puchi! Ruan Tingting's sword light pierced through Su Tingshan's heart, and the sword aura crushed his heart into pieces. Su Tingshan widened his eyes and let out a cry of indignation before he stopped breathing. Yi Fei, just you wait. I will destroy the Wind Sword sect with my own hands and make you pay the price for what you have done. Ruan Tingting's gaze was incomparably cold, revealing a bone-piercing hatred and murderous intent. Seeing such a gaze, Yi Fei's heart couldn't help but tremble even though he had lived for many years. Wait a minute. I don't feel comfortable looking at this woman. Lu Ming looked at Yi Qing. He reached out and grabbed Yi Qing in his hand. No, don't kill me, don't kill me. Father, save me. Yi Qing screamed crazily, and her face was pale without a trace of blood. Let Qing go, or the Wind Sword sect won't rest until you are dead. Yi Fa roared, and his true yuan erupted wildly. Don't worry, I won't kill her. I will leave her life for Ting Ting. Lu Ming sneered and pointed a finger, directly crippling Yi Qing's cultivation. Didn't you want to get a slot to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain? Can you still enter after your cultivation is crippled? Get lost. Lu Ming flung Yi Qing out. Yi Qing screamed with a face full of despair. Her original goal was to sacrifice Ruan Tingting to fulfill her wish and let her enter the 100 Supremes Mountain. Perhaps she could obtain a great opportunity in the 100 Supremes Mountain and soar to the sky. She was full of hope. But now there was no hope. She was in despair. Even if there was a slot, it was useless to her. Let's go. Chapter 767. South of Juhao City, on a mountain peak 10,000 li away, there were 2 more tombs. Ruan Tingting quietly knelt in front of the Ruan Zhen couple's tombs for a day and a night. She didn't cry nor shed tears. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Kong Jin and Chao Xian also stood beside her. After a day and a night, Ruan Tingting stood up and cupped her fists towards Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and the others, saying, "This time, thank you very much. Tingting, we're friends. There's no need to be so polite. Unfortunately, we were a step too late." Lu Ming sighed. If they were a step earlier, Ruan Tingting's parents might not have died. Tingting, where do you plan to go next? Chao Xian held Ruan Tingting's hand and asked with concern. I don't know, I want to find a place to cultivate. I must flatten the Wind Sword sect. Ruan Tingting gritted her teeth and said, how about this? The 100 Supremes Mountain is an opportunity. We can help a force obtain a quota and enter the 100 Supremes Mountain to cultivate. This way, your cultivation speed will definitely increase. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said to Ruan Tingting, that's a good idea. Kong Jin said, how about this? You all follow me to the Hai Yun sect. I will report this to my father. Anyway, my father is looking for outside help. My Hai Yun sect has no chance to obtain a quota. If you join us and obtain a quota, all of them will belong to you. What do you think? Chao Xian said, that's a good idea, but we don't need all of the quotas. 4 is enough. Kong Jin quickly nodded and said. Then, everyone left the place and flew towards the Hai Yun sect, discussing the details on the way. After arriving at the Hai Yun sect, Chao Xian arranged for Lu Ming and the others to stay. Then she went to report to her father. An hour later, Chao Xian returned and said that her father wanted to meet Lu Ming and the others. Many people in the Sea Cloud sect knew Ruan Tingting, so naturally, she didn't need to go. Xian Yanqing was not interested in this, so only Lu Ming and Kong Jin followed Chao Xian to the Sea Cloud sect's conference hall. Chao Xian's father, Chao Long, was sitting in the Sea Cloud sect's main hall. There were also 5 or 6 Sea Cloud sect's elders present. Sect leader, do you really believe that Xian knows some experts? Do you think we don't know Xian Er's friends? They're all young people around his age. A middle-aged man said to Chao Long, yeah, although my Sea Cloud sect's strength is low, we can't just randomly invite people to make up the numbers. Another elder also spoke. This time, Xian Er was very serious. She said she knew these powerful warriors who could easily kill an expert at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier. They were unfathomable, so I called you guys to meet them together. Chao Long said. The Sea Cloud sect could only be considered in the lower tier among the dozens of forces around the gathering luxury city. The strongest in the sect was only at the peak of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. It was almost impossible for them to get a spot for the 100 Supremes Mountain. However, they were unwilling. After all, this spot was very precious to a small force like them, so they wanted to fight for it. During this time, he had been asking for outside help, almost running around the gathering luxury city. Even some powerful loose cultivators near other cities wanted to ask them for help, but they were all rejected. If those experts had to choose, they would naturally choose those powerful forces. During this time, he spent a lot of money and paid a great price, but only managed to invite an expert at the early stage of the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier to help. When he heard Chao Xian say she knew a few experts who could easily kill an expert at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, He was naturally moved and wanted to meet them. To be able to easily kill an expert at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, their battle prowess would definitely not be weaker than the late stage of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier, or even the peak of the second layer. If he could help the Sea Cloud sect fight, it would be a great battle force. "They're here," an elder said. Then, Chao Xian walked in with Lu Ming and Kong Jin. The people in the main hall were immediately dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the people Chao Xian brought were actually two young people, and they looked to be in their early 20s. "Xian, the experts you mentioned are them?" A middle-aged man spoke first. "Elder Hua, yes, they are Xian Er's friends," Chao Xian said. "Stop fooling around. Xian this battle is no small matter. All the major factions will be mobilizing all of their forces and sending out their strongest fighters. It's extremely dangerous. Your friends are too young. If anything happens to them, how are you going to explain it to their elders?" Chao Long reprimanded. "Father, Lu Ming, Kong Jin and the others are very strong. They can easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier." Chao Xian said. "Lu Ming?" Chao Long's eyes moved. He seemed to feel that the name Lu Ming was familiar, but he couldn't recall it at the moment. "Can easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier? Xian, you're getting more and more ridiculous. Do you know how strong a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier is? How can he be killed so easily?" That elder Hua shook his head and smiled. The Wind Sword sect's matter was already sealed. They naturally wouldn't spread such a shameful thing. Therefore, Chao Long and the others didn't know what happened in the Wind Sword sect. The other elders also shook their heads and smiled, thinking that Chao Xian was still young and didn't know many things. It was normal for her to hear rumors. They didn't think that Lu Ming and the others could easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier. So young and with such battle strength, he was most likely a genius. How could Chao Xian know him? "Xian, take your friends down. It's fine if you want to play in the Ocean Cloud sect. Take them around." Chao Long smiled. "Sect leader Chao, you haven't tried, so how do you know Chao Xian is lying? If you miss it, wouldn't you miss a good opportunity?" At this moment, Lu Ming smiled and cupped his fists. "That's right, sect leader Chao. I'm not bragging, but don't mention a peak of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Even a peak of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier would be split in half with my axe." Kong Jin grinned. "Young man, you sure talk big. Then let me test you." That elder Hua stood up, emitting a powerful aura. Early stage of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. This elder Hua was also one of the few experts in the Ocean Cloud sect. Pang! Pang! Elder Hua took a few steps forward and threw a punch at Kong Jin. This punch carried the air with it, and it was like a mountain crashing into the air. Kong Jin's mouth curved slightly and threw out a punch casually. Pang! The two fists collided. Elder Hua's expression changed, and his body retreated a dozen steps. Chao Long and the other elders were shocked and stood up from their seats. Kong Jin actually repelled Elder Hua with a casual punch. "Hey, uncle, use your full strength. This is boring," Kong Jin said casually. "Okay, take my punch." Elder Hua's expression was solemn. Taking a deep breath, his body emitted a blue light. Concept and true essence combined, and he threw a punch at Kong Jin. This punch was several times stronger than before. Chapter 768. Chao Long and the rest widened their eyes in shock. Just now, Elder Hua had already exerted his full strength, but he was still easily repelled by Kong Jin's punch, and Kong Jin still looked very casual. How strong was Kong Jin? First level of spiritual sea realm. First level of spiritual sea realm cultivation is actually so strong. Could he be a peerless genius? Chao Long muttered to himself in his heart. To be able to fight across levels in spiritual sea realm, he was definitely a peerless genius. In Nine Dragon City, there were quite a number of people who broke through spiritual sea realm under the age of 30, but most of them were ordinary martial artists, at most a little outstanding, but not considered geniuses. And Chao Long concluded that Kong Jin was definitely a genius. His heart was burning with passion. If Kong Jin was a genius, then what about Lu Ming? Lu Ming? Lu Ming? All of a sudden, Su Long's eyes widened. His heart started pounding. He remembered. Some time ago, he heard from his friends that this year's Heaven King List battle had already ended, and the new Heaven King List had already come out. This year's #1 strongest king was called Lu Ming. But now in Nine Dragon City, various cultivation holy lands had opened, and countless large and small forces were staring at those holy lands, staring at those top spiritual sea realm geniuses, and did not pay much attention to the Heaven King List. Now, he finally remembered. It was normal for the strongest person on the Heaven King List to break through to spiritual sea realm now. Could it really be that Lu Ming? Su Long's heart beat faster. If it was really the strongest king, then after breaking through to spiritual sea realm, how strong would his battle power be? It was completely unpredictable. Good, what a powerful young man, haha, I'm convinced. Elder Hua was repelled by Kong Jin's punch, but he was not angry. He adjusted his breath and laughed. Senior, thank you for letting me win. Kong Jin grinned. Senior, should I give it a try? Lu Ming looked at Elder Hua. Elder Hua's face stiffened, and he was a little uncertain. Lu Ming smiled, and suddenly took a step forward, his palm striking down. Phew! Lu Ming's palm was clearly cleaving through the air, but the void was like water ripples, rippling out in circles. As Lu Ming's palm streaked across, the ripples spread into the distance. Qiao Long, Elder Hua, and the others felt their hearts skip a beat as their eyes widened. A casual strike of his palm could actually stir up the void. Such strength was truly terrifying. Haha, that's enough, that's enough. The strength of these two little brothers has really broadened our horizons. I admire you, I admire you. Qiao Long laughed out loud. Sect Master Qiao, are we qualified to fight on behalf of the Sea Cloud sect? Kong Jin asked. Of course, of course. To be able to invite the two of you is my Sea Cloud sect's honor. Qiao Long smiled. It's not just the two of us. We have another friend who will be participating as well. Lu Ming said. There's another person? Qiao Long's heart stirred and he said, I wonder if the few of you are helping my Sea Cloud sect to battle. What are the conditions? The conditions are simple. We want 4 spots to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain. Lu Ming said. 4 spots? Qiao Long exclaimed, you two might not know this, but there are a total of 36 factions participating in the competition this time. Only the top 6 will have a spot. The 6th will have 3 spots, while the 5th and 6th will have 4 spots. Sect Master Qiao doesn't need to worry too much. As long as you get into the top 3, there will be more than 4 spots. We want 4 spots, and the remaining spots will belong to you. Lu Ming said with confidence in his tone. He had a rough idea of the forces in the vicinity of Juhao City. He had 100% confidence in getting into the top 3. Qiao Long and the others exchanged a glance. Lu Ming was too confident. All right, I agree to this condition. After pondering for a moment, Qiao Long agreed. Without Lu Ming's help, they wouldn't be able to get into the top 6. At that time, they wouldn't have a single spot. The competition this time is a group battle. It's a competition of the overall strength of a force. Every force will send out 9 experts to battle at the same time to defeat their opponents. Therefore, the battle formation is very important. This time with the 3 of you, I'll send out 6 more experts. I wonder when you'll have time to practice the battle formation together? Qiao Long said. Sect Master Qiao, I have a battle formation here. As long as it's executed, it will form a strong defensive force. Perhaps it's suitable for this competition. You can let the others practice it first. Lu Ming took out a jade badge and waved it with his hand. He inserted the battle formation into it and threw it to Qiao Long. Qiao Long received it and his expression changed after taking a look. He had some attainments in the Tao of Inscription. With a glance, he could tell that the formation was extremely mysterious. It was a 6th level formation, which was much more exquisite than the one he had obtained. Haha, thank you young hero Lu. If young hero Lu has any other requests, feel free to ask. Qiao Long was in a good mood as he smiled. No need. Sect Master Qiao. We'll take our leave now. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left with Kong Jin, returning to his residence. Sect Master, in my opinion, these two are definitely talents. Although they are unparalleled on the list of top 1,000 talents, there have been many rising talents recently. Elder Hua said. Yes, there's no mistake. You haven't heard, right? The name of this year's strongest king on the Heavenly King list is Lu Ming. Qiao Long said. What? The others were even more shocked. Of course, they were also ecstatic. If this was true, their Sea Cloud sect had picked up a treasure this time. Regardless of whether they could get a ranking this time, it would be beneficial for a small sect like the Sea Cloud sect to make friends with such a peerless talent. After Lu Ming and Kong Jin returned to their residence, they began to cultivate separately. After this incident, Wan Tingting became even more diligent in her cultivation. She stayed in her room every day to cultivate. Lu Ming and the others didn't participate in the practice of battle formations because it wasn't necessary. Qiao Long and the others thought that Lu Ming and the others were familiar with battle formations and didn't say anything. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. There was only 1 day left until the duel. At this time, Qiao Xian came to invite Lu Ming and the others, telling them to meet the other 6 participants and familiarize themselves with them. Sea Cloud sect, on a huge square. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they saw 6 figures standing in different positions in the square. Their figures flickered, and their auras intersected and merged. They were practicing the battle formation that Lu Ming had given to Qiao Long. 1 at the early stage of the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm, 2 at the peak of the 2nd layer of the spiritual sea realm, 2 at the middle stage and early stage of the 2nd layer of the spiritual sea realm, and 1 at the peak of the 1st layer of the spiritual sea realm. Elder Hua was one of them. Qiao Long stood at the side and watched. 3 young heroes, you're here. Qiao Long looked at Lu Ming and the others and smiled. Lu Ming and the others nodded. Whoosh! After a while, the battle formation practice ended, and a gray-haired old man strode over. This is the foreign aide that my father invited. His name is Yu Bo, and his cultivation is in the early 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Chapter 769. Sect Master Qiao, these 3 immature brats can't be the foreign aide you mentioned, right? Yu Bo glanced at Lu Ming and the others in disdain. Senior Yu, it's the 3 of them. Qiao Long frowned at Yu Bo's attitude, but he still answered. Humph, sect leader Qiao, I don't know what you're thinking. How could you invite 3 brats? Even if you don't want to fight for a spot, don't joke about the lives of the rest of us. It's very dangerous to go up the fighting ring. What do you mean by inviting 3 good-for-nothings to drag us down? Yu Bo said in an unfriendly tone. Hey, old man, who are you calling good-for-nothings? You're the good-for-nothing. Kong Jin was furious when he heard Yu Bo call them good-for-nothings. Junior, how dare you talk back to me? Let me ask you, why haven't you come to practice the battle formation? If you're not good-for-nothings and not dragging us down, what are you? Yu Bo scolded loudly, taking advantage of his seniority. Hee, we don't practice the battle formation because we don't need to. Do you know the main purpose of this battle formation? Lu Ming chuckled and said indifferently. The purpose of the battle formation is, of course, to strengthen our combat strength and fight against the opponent, Yu Bo said. Wrong. Lu Ming shook his head and said, the purpose of this battle formation is to strengthen your defense. To put it bluntly, it is to strengthen your defense and protect yourself. You can leave the matter of fighting the enemy to us. When he said that, not only were the others stunned, but Yu Bo and Qiao Long were also stunned. Qiao Long finally understood that Lu Ming's purpose was to strengthen their defense. He didn't expect them to help him defeat the enemy. Even though he guessed Lu Ming's identity, he still felt that Lu Ming was too confident. Ha ha ha. Yu Bo laughed even more crazily and said, ignorant, shameless boasting, arrogant. I want to see what kind of ability you have with just a few of you little fellows. Fatty, I'm not interested in such trash. I'll leave it to you. 5 moves. No problem. Lu Ming said to Kong Jin. 5 moves? 1 move is enough. Kong Jin grinned. Leave it to me. Xian Yanqing spoke as he slowly walked forward. Yu Bo was so angry that his mouth was crooked. What was wrong with these brats? It was as if he was made out of clay. He said that he would finish him in 1 move in 5 moves. Did he think that he was just a decoration? Little girl, scram. Yu Bo shouted, and the powerful aura of the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier exploded. Everyone else's expression changed, and they all retreated. Boom. Yu Bo stretched out his hand and formed a huge claw that grabbed towards Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing stretched out a snow-white hand and gently pressed forward. Wang. The terrifying pressure of the heavenly demon force field suddenly descended, and then, a destructive cutting power erupted. Xian Yanqing's destruction mentality and wind mentality had long since merged successfully. Now that he had broken through to the Sea of Soul realm, his Sky Demon power field and destruction cutting power were countless times stronger than before. Bang! Bang! Yubo's huge hand made of true essence and mentality exploded, and the destruction cutting power blasted onto his body, almost cutting him in two. He screamed as his body flew out, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. He looked at Xian Yanqing with a face full of horror. Just now, he really felt that he was almost cut in two. He didn't know that it was Xian Yanqing who showed mercy. Otherwise, he would have really been cut in two. Let's go. Lu Ming turned and left. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin followed Lu Ming and left, leaving behind a bunch of dumbfounded people. It was too terrifying. They had already tried to overestimate Lu Ming's group, but in the end, they still underestimated them. The battle prowess of Lu Ming's group was simply unfathomable. Even Yu Bo, who was at the early stage of the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier, was easily defeated. They couldn't help but be filled with anticipation for this competition. Perhaps they could really make it into the top 3? Yu Bo's face alternated between green and red. Finally, he waved his hand and said, "Sect Master Qiao, since you have such prodigies, why did you invite me? This time, I withdraw. I won't accept any of the treasures you gave me." Finished speaking, he strode away. However, Qiao Long had no intention of keeping him. If it was before, he would definitely try his best to keep him. After all, Yu Bo was an expert that he invited with great effort, and was also the only third layer of the spiritual ocean tier elite from the Ocean Cloud sect. But now, he realized that there was no need. Whether Yu Bo was here or not, it didn't seem to have much effect on the overall situation. If Yu Bo left, he could just find a random spiritual ocean tier martial artist to add in. As long as Lu Ming and the other two were here, it was enough. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The competition for the 100 Supremes mountain spots officially began. This time, there were a total of 36 forces participating in the competition around the 3 cities. Only the top 6 could get a spot. The first place had 8 Ming-er. The second place had 6 spots. The third place had 5 spots. The fourth and fifth place had 4 spots respectively. The sixth place only had 3 spots. There were a total of 30 spots. The location of the competition was on a mountain peak at the intersection of the 3 cities. This mountain peak was called Juping Peak. The peak of Juping Peak was very flat. There was a huge battle stage built on it, and there were many spectator seats around it. In the past, any major events in the 3 cities would be held on Juping Peak. On this day, there was a sea of people on Juping Peak. The 36 forces were clearly divided, sitting in 4 corners. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kong Jin sat in the crowd of the Ocean Cloud sect, looking around. Not far from them, 2 forces away, were the people from the Wind Sword sect. Clear River's 2 monsters. I don't know what method the Wind Sword sect used, but they actually managed to invite the Clear River's 2 monsters. Qiao Xian looked in the direction of the Wind Sword sect and said softly. Lu Ming looked over and saw Yi Fa sitting at the top of the Wind Sword sect's group. Below him were many disciples and elders of the Wind Sword sect. Among them, there were 2 skinny old men in green robes. Their eyes were cold as they glanced at Lu Ming's group from time to time. In the Wind Sword sect, Yi Qing was among them. She looked at Lu Ming's group with eyes full of hatred. "Ting Ting, don't worry. This time, as long as the Wind Sword sect meets us, we will definitely cripple them. It's impossible for them to get a spot. Also, the Clear River's 2 monsters are dead for sure." Kong Jin revealed a sinister smile. Ruan Tingting nodded. Her eyes revealed a bone-deep hatred. Wind Sword sect's area. Seniors, the 3 juniors from the Ocean Cloud sect cannot be underestimated. They are very strong. If you meet them, try to kill them. Yi Fa said to the Clear River's 2 monsters. "Don't worry. Hee, that chick is really beautiful. She's even prettier than Ruan Tingting. Us brothers must get her." The leader of the Clear River's 2 monsters snickered coldly. His eyes were filled with evil fire as he looked at Xian Yanqing. "When the time comes, as long as we kill those 2 brats, that chick will be yours to play with." You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.